out one hell of a fight. You ask for it, you're going to get one. It's that simple. Stop feeling like you don't have power. Stop feeling pathetic and weak. Break out of your television-induced trance. It starts with a war growl. It starts with getting fired up. 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 Break out of your television-induced trance. Stop feeling pathetic and weak. Break out of your trance. It starts with a war growl.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. We are live. So thanks for joining us if you're watching this live, and if you're watching this after the fact, well, I don't know why you are, because there's probably not going to be much of a point. We're just doing a quick little runoff stream here tonight. I'm calling it CG Scrambled Chillstream. We're going to talk about the debate a little bit with EVS and the, I'll call him a SoyBoy, I guess, because I don't know his actual name, but yeah, I'll bring in our guests here. First, I'm going to bring in somebody that we're all familiar with. Fade, how you doing?
What the hell did I watch? Hey, John.
Hey. And then we'll bring in Tim.
Yes.
Hey,
what the hell did you watch? Fade.
It's all pumped up a little bit. And here we got Fizz Chozo. Welcome.
Hi, everybody. It's Fizz Chozo from the YouTube channel Fizz Chozo. You probably have never watched it before.
No, actually.
Is he in the house?
Bring that up right now here.
F to the Izzle.
So there's Fizz's channel.
Nice.
I'll drop a link in the.
By the way, Richard says Tiller says comics. That's the guy who's debating with EVS.
Oh.
What was his name?
Taylor says comics.
Oh, Taylor says comics, right?
Yes.
Well, Timmy says Taylor says comics is weak.
Oh wait, I take it back. Timmy Soy's comics is what Richard says.
Taylor Soy's comics.
Yep.
And there is
not funny, you guys.
That's curious.
Me.
Yeah. So anyway, a little bit of a change tonight. Normally we would be streaming on the Forest Publishing Uncensored show, but Richard's taking a break this week because he's getting ready for a move. So I just decided, hey, let's do our own.
Richard, I see the comment there. You but what?
What's that?
Look down on the bottom after you put Fizz's channel.
Get the brick.
Oh, hold on. Alright, Fade Salvation, fading in. There we go.
Nice, somebody else is actually on video.
Yes.
Alright, so anyway, what do you guys did any of you guys manage to see any of the EVS debate? Or do you even care?
I saw
the first hour of it and a little bit afterwards.
I didn't even care, but from what I seen when we were in the back room, it just...
I saw someone in the back room.
More of the same.
Yeah.
It wasn't as epic, I guess, as some people were saying it was going to be.
Well, things got a little hyped up on Twitter in the last couple of weeks. They went back and forth with each other, and there was snipes here and there. But, I mean, for the most part, every one of these so-called debates that EVS has been in haven't really been debates. They're pretty one-sided annihilations on EVS part.
You mean like EVS just totally decimates them?
Pretty much, but I mean, he doesn't even try, right? He just restates the facts. Like, a lot of these guys are unaware of the actual situation at hand, right? They're just parroting what they've heard on Twitter from other, whether it's SJWs, whether it's industry titans, whether it's, just randos that are just jumping on the bandwagon, right? But all the mythology of what CG is as a boogeyman has been overhyped, to say the least, right? In the last 3 years, it's just, I think now people are, it's necessary for these debates to happen because more and more people see them and more people realize how dumb it is. And, so I think it does serve a point, but I guess their topic of is CG valid is just such a vague concept to begin with that how would you even debate that on a whole, and that's why these debates get out of hand, right?
How can you prove if something is valid or not?
Right. Well, we were saying too, right? Like every different market, every different corner of the landscape is valid, right? Like just because you don't want to be a part of it or you don't want to have anything to do with it doesn't mean. But that's the current times we live in, right? Everybody's got to attack whatever isn't their thing.
Yeah.
There's just criticism coming in from all angles, and I don't know. I think CG could a bit of self-reflection in terms of like, because it started with CG criticizing the mainstream industry as a big component of it before the creative side came in and let's create our own books. That's why everyone feels they have the right to criticize CG, because CG started out in that vein of like bitching about stuff, right? So what, you don't think they're going to bitch about CG if they're on the left or they're on the other side or they're part of the mainstream? Of course they're going to fight back, right? So
somebody pointed out that Comics Game went from a consumer revolt to being a scene into itself. So that's why I kind of look at. That's what I've always kind of looked at Comics Gate as. It's not a consumer revolt, but it's a scene. It's like
it has become a scene now. You're right. Like it's become a different, sub-revolution within comics. Like I think even Art Tibera was talking the other day on one of his streams about how if CG can just last another 3 to 5 years, at the most, then it'll become cemented within the comic industry, and there won't be any way that it won't go down in history, in comics history, right? In terms of an actual movement that had an impact, that changed the direction that the industry went in.
Yeah, so. CG has already had an impact, though. It will go down comics history.
I agree, but I think what he was saying is it's more like the mainstream archivists of all this news and information won't be able to ignore it anymore in the way that the mainstream comics press kind of like constantly puts down CG. You never see any positive articles, regardless of the creator. Like think of it, people can hate EBS as much as they want, right? So, and they're going to be butthurt about Cyberfrog doing so well, even though like they would get tons of clicks if they did positive stories about Cyberfrog and promoted it and stuff like that. It would probably go mainstream pretty quickly, because once people see the character, they see the story, they realize it's not political, they realize it's not scary, it's not extremist, it's not any of these stupid tag words or whatever, right? And then people, okay, this is cool, and they'll check it out. But because they constantly push it down, constantly like don't talk about any CG stuff, it's always going to be that zombie, that rotting corpse that nobody wants to go near. But as soon as there, some of that, like some other creator breaks in and gets CG through the back door, and I think that's where the 3 to 5 year thing comes in, is eventually they're going to break down. They're not going to be able to like argue with the success of the campaigns or the, like which side is ruder and which side has more integrity. And CG has more integrity, right? So,
or the old guard will rot from the inside out, and pretty much what will be left is the comics that people were ignoring or bad-mouthing.
That could be part of it too. Yeah, just that the campaigns in CG push out some of the other more mainstream stuff to where the sales start getting noticed that way.
Which is why people need to continue selling even after their campaigns are over. And even try to find some way of getting them into stores, maybe.
Right. Oh, here we got somebody else to add. Hell, welcome, Dario.
Oh, it's the Dario. Hi ho, the Dario.
Hi, Dario.
Hello, everybody. How are you guys tonight?
Doing good. I was watching your stream a little bit earlier and watching the ES stream, and it's been a bit of a busy evening, even though it's a Friday night, trying to chill out here. But yeah, it's like, welcome to the channel.
Thank you.
No worries. So I think what was I don't know. I'm not gonna. Do you guys think it's even worth bringing up the stream at all? Like, I don't know. Is it over yet or what? What's going on here?
I think it's still going.
No, they're still going. Okay, you know what? We'll do a dissection maybe another night. I'm not going to bring it up live now, but
Dario, you're looking kind of grungy these days, man.
Hey, don't give a hard time, man. You're not on camera, Tim. Get on camera and say that.
Okay, hold on.
I got the new job, so I can.
You're looking kind of grungy. Hey, hey,
not gonna,
nothing wrong with looking grungy.
yeah,
swear
and
to
me,
God, if
I never show my real face. I plan to have it be a special day when I reveal my true form.
Can you
I
handle it,
saw
people?
I saw a tweet that triggered me the other day, but I looked at my bank account and then I didn't let it bother me. But it was some girl. She was saying something like, "So many people nowadays wear their burnout like a badge of honor." She's like, "Can we not make this the norm? Just because you're working 16 hours a day, you don't have to wear it like a badge of honor." And I'm just like, "Fuck it, like, I don't care."
That's pretty random, but yeah, I
Hey,
agree. Like,
I was gonna say back
you
in
gotta
the
work hard in today's world. Like, fuck it.
I'm gonna be able to make as many comic books as I want, so I don't care how I look right now.
Right.
Hold on, Tim. Let me say one thing. I swear to God, manslaughter. If you wear a freaking suit, I would mistake you for a godfather.
You could
I get
definitely
that a
do
lot.
yeah, walk on The Sopranos or something like that. Hey, I was gonna tell you too, Dario. Is it Dario or Dario?
Either or you
You
could
don't
even
care?
go the Spanish route and say Dario.
Dario.
I ain't doing.
That's a little. That might be a little too gay.
Dario.
Why? And I always think like Dario Argento, the film director.
Hell yeah, it's one of the greats.
Yeah, so that's the the one first person I knew with that name, right? So it always sticks in my head to pronounce it that way. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was listening to some of your music on.
Oh no.
Yeah, I
Oh,
found
no.
it in your Twitter bio or whatever, right? So I followed it. I always the thing is I'm into like EDM and techno, and I spent 20 years going to raves, so I'm like I pretty much have heard every type of music under the sun. And I'm a big like rock guy and metal guy too, right? So, but when I saw you were doing like kind of more mixes and electronic stuff, I was like, okay, I'll check this out. Went through a couple tracks. I was like, heavy on the auto tune, but it's like I kind of liked it for that reason, just because it's a little outside my wheelhouse where I'm not.
Does he sing?
Yeah,
Is that you doing the auto tune?
Yeah, before Comicsgate, I was part of a music community, and we all invented a new genre called hyper pop. So that's kind of what you're hearing a little bit.
I kind of dug some of it actually. I was even going to talk to you.
I'll
I
have
was
to
like,
check
dude, I
it
want to
out.
get like a theme song or do like a 30-second or 1 minute intro song or something like that. And I'm going to talk to you. I had a couple other buddies that do music too, and it's like, but asking them to like do anything is impossible. I've been bugging them for like 5 years to like make me a track.
Okay, by the way, I joked to my family one time that if my company ever gets big enough, which it probably will if this my upcoming campaign successful. When I make the graphic novel I got planned called Penetrator, I might get Tyler the Creator to make a song about it.
He's pretty big, man. Like you got to get on his radar.
You got a comic book called Penetrator?
Yeah, that's
yeah, it's a graphic novel. I can't talk about what it's a horror graphic novel. I can't talk about what it's going to be about on this live stream. You probably want to hear.
Very provocative title though. That is a good title because it's very provocative and very like. As soon as you said it, I was like, okay. Instantly, I thought, okay, is this X-rated? Is this like an adult comic, or is
it's a horror?
Well, that's what I mean by
it's a horror book,
right? Is like instantly people think it's going to be super hardcore, but if you just did something more subtle with it, because Penetrator could mean a lot of things.
No, it's not so subtle. The main character does what we think he does. Star Wars. It's a villain. It's a villain graphic novel.
Okay. So you are going there. You are throwing balls through the walls. No pun.
I just thought it'd be fun, pretty interesting if it was not just a horror novel, but like it'd be a really gross horror novel. Like,
it is.
You've seen those old cheap horror movies where there's just like guts are hanging out and
just like that. A lot of blood, lots of blood, and naked women having their limbs ripped off.
By Tim Vigil.
Naked women having their limbs ripped off. So,
go look up Faust by Tim Vigil from like the mid '80s. Yeah, Faust, F-A-U-S-T. Tim Vigil, his art's amazing. So he was kind of like part of that whole outlaw comics or the black and white revolution in the mid '80s, started by the Ninja Turtles, and all those like gritty black and white you know,
There weren't
action
really
and like
I might have seen one of those.
horror comics.
It's really
Yeah,
silly graphic novels, similar to Ninja Turtles. So we always got these
well, Ninja Turtles
power
is just
packer
one
nerves.
example, but it's like when the more adult market in the comics and the direct market started coming through, like newsstand comics. These were sold directly to comic shops for the most part, and they were for the most part black and white because it was indie. It was kind of like what's going on with CG. It was just random guys that decided I'm never going to work for the big two or whoever, but I was going to make my own comic, print my own comic at some little local printer, and literally do like mail order out of my house to send like 5 copies to comic shops around the country.
Yeah, like everything made by Gary Brodsky.
They pulled out of the back of their van, like in the streets of New York, right? Like
I know. They didn't. The file on this way was everything made by Gary Brodsky, who's dead now. Just passed away in 2016. Like
check out Faust.
No, like Sultry Teenage Super Foxes and stuff.
Heard of it?
Yeah, I think somebody I knew actually had an issue of Faust.
Yeah, I've got like the first 6 issues. The later ones are harder to find. I think there's only like 14 or 16 in the main run.
Yeah.
Speaking
of violent comics, on my channel about a day or so ago, I had promoted somebody's campaign called Feathers of Onyx, which is currently live on Indiegogo.
Yes, I watched that stream actually, or at least the first half of it, and it did look good, man. The art was pretty damn impressive.
There's a person in the chat who literally does not know anything about comics at all, and he stayed almost the whole stream.
What do you mean he doesn't know about comics
at all? Like literally doesn't know the basics about the comic books. Like he thought comic books is all for kids automatically, and
oh, that commenter? Are you talking about that guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy was fucking annoying, man. I couldn't stand him. I was like, I think he was trolling you.
Yeah, like he has no
basics on my TV, so I didn't go into chat or anything. Like that's the thing I hate is I watch so much YouTube on my smart TV that I'm not in the chat. There's so many times when I'm like, fuck, I just want to like in the old days I used to have a computer hooked up to my TV. Now I just have my Android box on there, so I don't get to chat through it. Now I'm like, and I don't want to run to my computer, but I was like, this dude's a fucking idiot. Like I'm not gonna run and load up YouTube on my computer just.
I felt the same way. Like Lily does not know anything about what I'm doing. Like, did not read the title of the last.
That's why he had to be trolling because he just kept coming at you every 5 seconds, and that's what I've been seeing more of in CG is like rando, not bots, but just like people that are instigators and shit in the chat.
I don't think it was a bot since I know it was a bot.
You know what I mean? Like people would call the guy a bot because he's just like acting like an NPC basically and just.
But I don't think that was CG. He act like Lily does not know anything about comics at all. Like,
but that's what I mean. It's like it's not. I don't want to call them opposition, but they're just basically trolls that are realizing there's all these CG streams that are running all the time. So it happens in every scene, whether it's like people doing playthroughs and all this stuff.
So he's saying that person was putting on a character, basically. Like
he couldn't have been that dumb because he was just being like.
Like how he didn't know that Walking Dead was a comic book originally.
Right.
Like, how he didn't know that.
And he was kind of like even going against like forgetting what he had said in earlier chats and stuff, so he wasn't making sense. Like he just wasn't consistent. But that's neither here nor there. I mean, you can see that. I always hope like eventually my channel's big enough or my videos, people see my live streams and I get some actual bots or weirdos in the chat, but it never happens. Like I'm always on other people's channels and they get weirdos in the chat, but it's never happened to me yet. So
I remember.
Don't worry, man.
I did.
And I'm assuming with one of you guys in here, there's gonna be some weirdos that show up. So like.
Don't worry. One day you'll get your weirdo of your very own.
I know you guys need to like, come on, get this out there. Put it out on Twitter for me. Share it. Do something. Get me some more eyeballs. But...
Someday his weirdo will come.
Pretty much. That's like not a weirdo. At least somebody that's like weird about showing up at the stream like an hour early. Like those people that wait in chat before the video goes live. I always wonder about that. Sometimes like I'll open the window so it's ready when it goes live, but I don't sit there and chat and talk with people for half an hour before the stream starts. But I guess if you got enough viewers, right, eventually stuff like that's
okay. Okay. I don't have a lot of viewers actually on my last names.
I just
videos.
gotta,
in general.
yeah, you gotta stream more consistently in order to like get people like anticipating when you're streaming and stuff like that. But anyway, the Fade, did you want to talk about one of those funny? Let's change the topic for a
yeah.
second.
Let me bring that.
I got it here. Actually, I'll just share my own.
Which one do you want to talk about first?
I'm gonna do the toilet.
Okay.
That thing is just, or the garbage can. Sorry.
Yeah.
That would be
This
even
is my,
weirder for the toilet.
This is my first time on stream meeting Fade. So Fade, where are you from? Do you have any books or anything like that as well?
I don't have any books. I'm just, a fancy G right now. I've bought books, but I haven't what's the word? Made one of my own yet.
Yeah,
So,
Fade is just a CG super fan right now, but he does have some ideas. Me and him have talked. He's got some ideas for a book eventually, but it's like anything, right? You got to kind of do it at the right time, and he's still figuring stuff out too. I'm kind of still in the early stages, so me and him, I'm probably learning a lot more from Tim right now than anything, and I'm helping Tim out with something else too. So it's like that's the thing I love about CG is everybody just gets to know each other and what each other can do. And
should we do the big reveal?
Sorry. Yeah, hell yeah.
Like,
well, it's nice to meet you, Fade.
Tim, at some point.
Nice to meet you too, Dario.
Do you want me to preview the card at some point or something?
Well, do you want to tell them what we're doing first?
Well, I think I've mentioned it. Yeah, we're working on Melvin the card game.
Melvin the card game, yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah. We're kind of, we're not too far into it. Maybe only about 20% of the way in terms of the planning and everything like that. But we've got some prototypes and we've got some interesting ideas. So
working on some
expandable. So basically, any CG IP or property, if they want to use those same card proper rules and things like that, it will all work together because it's kind of made to be universal. So yeah, I've kind of thought of like, because that's the thing, right? Everybody's got to kind of share ideas. Same thing with characters. Like everyone loves it when different characters cross over or people, borrow each other's characters for like a print or a poster or something. So that's the way I see it, is like just share the love. It's going to kind of be like an open license type of thing, like as long as you credit. At this point, I'm going to hopefully be able to work on creatively any campaigns that utilize it, but eventually the idea is just to put it out as more of like a kit, and then anybody would be able to, kind of like use those rules, and then just through attribution, like giving credit and stuff like that, it would be, kosher. And I got a couple kind of rule sets or ideas, so this isn't like I'm not putting all my eggs in this one basket, but this is just more I'm developing it to be kind of, a CG property only type thing. And then I've got a couple other games that I'm working on the side too that are might still be connected with my CG project that I'm going to work on. Or like I even thought of doing a card game as a CG release first before a comic, because theoretically it might actually be cheaper to do a game than a comic, because you can actually do it with less backers, and through the company that does the print on demand for the game components, like they'll handle all the fulfillment and everything like that. So you send them your backer list, and then they basically, send everything from their facility directly to the only thing sucks is that you can't inspect stuff before it gets to the backer.
But J Dollar Sign.
You can't get them to send all of it to you, and then you, hey, cool, Jay's in the chat.
Yeah.
By the way, I had never. By the way, of course, I'm showing my age here because I was born in 2002, but I have never seen a superhero RPG or played one before.
Oh, there's some really good ones here. I got the kind of the granddaddy in my eyes is the classic Palladium Heroes Unlimited.
Palladium.
Yep.
Here.
Yep.
So there's all sorts, right? But this is the this is actually a universal system, so the same as the
when did that come out?
Ninja Turtles rule set. So that's kind of like
when did that come out?
Bionics and stuff, and a Jim Steranko cover too. Interestingly enough,
when did it come out?
That's like 1987, I think, or something, or. But there's other ones. There's like Champions is pretty cool. You can look that one up. 1984, actually. This book is 84.
If you want something very basic, Marvel comics.
Yeah, the Marvel superheroes from TSR in the 80s is a really cool RPG that, you know, the same guys that did the Dungeons and Dragons game were doing
Yeah,
Marvel at
I
that time,
forgot.
but it was a completely different system.
I know. By the way, I figure I could do that with my comic universe, since my comic universe is so much detail in the lore and stuff. Like this,
Yeah, go ahead.
like lots of world building and stuff.
Dude, man, yeah, and we can talk. I can help you out. I know a lot about RPGs. I used to run.
I've never played Dungeons and Dragons yet.
Straight.
I got a bunch of PDFs of fifth edition on my laptop.
Nice.
Like,
yeah, that's
I
what
wouldn't
I
want
do.
to play
If I'm not familiar with the system, I just find the PDFs and just study it. And
yeah, because I really want to play Dungeons and Dragons, but then COVID happened. Oh wait, sorry, Ken. I mean, the pandemic happened. So,
All right, so you said that word. Did anything happen yet?
Sharona.
what's that? What are you talking about, Tim?
I had Sharona stuck
planes
in my head.
are now being used as a trash can in Japan. I mean giants from Attack on Titan.
Yes, apparently Japan has turned into trash cans. So, in an effort to recycle, promote good sanitary, apparently they decided to use Attack on Titans.
Yeah, so that's just a little like what you don't think people are gonna like either steal that or like do something weird with it. Like I get that it's a garbage can and it's like, oh yeah, you get to feed it garbage, but
And the Japanese wonder why people think they're weird.
that's just it. Like
I think that's an awesome thing, in all honesty.
there you
You make cartoons with upskirt shots of teenage girls with short skirts and magic wands.
Exactly. Like how long before some like lonely Japanese guys up there like face humping that thing? Like it's gonna make for some pretty vivid displays in public. So hopefully, but there it says it's only for plastic bottles. So I guess they don't want, you know. It explains the circular cylindrical hole in its mouth better. I was like, why the fuck does it have like a very specifically dick-shaped hole if it's for general?
Well, better yet, it's got two, so you know you can enjoy with a friend.
Oh, is that? Oh, right. You're right. Yeah, it does kind of look like two, right? Yeah. Oh wow. So two people can go at it at the same time.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, blame Fade. He's the weirdo that found that article.
I've always found magical girl anime boring, in my opinion, because there's not really much of a conflict, or barely, or something. It's so boring.
Yeah. I want the action.
Actually, here, let's have our own debate tonight. Let's have Fade and Fizz challenge each other on anime. Are you guys? Because I know Fade's an anime. Because me and Fade have known each other for well over a year now. We've been streaming, weekly for a long time. So I know his taste in anime and where he's coming at. Fizz, where are you coming at from anime?
Well, I saw a couple episodes of Card Captor Sakura. It was very boring. I mean,
so it doesn't sound like you're the biggest anime fan, but you know some of the references and some of the characters and stuff.
Yeah, I also saw the entire series of Madoka Magica, at least the entire all 12 episodes. It was also very boring.
Okay. Yeah, and I'm not a huge anime guy either. Like there's stuff I love. Like I always bring up Bubblegum Crisis. That is my all-time favorite. And I love Akira and Ghost in the Shell and all the kind of cats I like.
No, keep in mind, I'm only watching anime that interests me personally. I don't care if it's famous or not.
Anime, like give or take,
I don't care if it's famous or not. I only watch anime that interests me personally.
Right.
Agreed.
So, like for example, I have never seen Gundam, nor that I care to, because I'm not into giant robots, mecha.
Okay.
I mean, it's mecha, because mecha. I watch a giant robot cartoon if there's no person inside of it, which
they can be a little repetitive too. Like they're formulaic and they kind of like there's a lot of like even the battle scenes sometimes are a little boring and stuff.
I know. I mean, Transformers is less formulaic than that.
Right.
I mean, not to jump back and forth, but
Go back and
forgot
forth,
to
man.
bring-
This is just a rando Chillstream.
Yeah, I forgot to bring it up, but so like for the Melvin card game that you guys are developing,
Yep.
what kind of rule set would you say you have? Is it like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, or what would you say?
I think is it more like Magic?
No, I'm kind of basing it on a couple different things. It's a mishmash. There was a game do you guys remember Chaotic from about 10 years ago? There was a game called Chaotic, which was actually quite popular at the time, but it died just because of the company mismanaging it and stuff like that. And but it's kind of, just because I'm going to kind of treat it almost like a miniature, so like the cards on the table are going to be able to move around, almost like chess pieces in a sense, but it's just more of like a grid basically. So you actually have to, in the same way in D&D, you have to actually like, approach an enemy, or if you have flight or different movement skills, you can kind of get around people. But anytime you move through the same card, you're forced to attack it. But then
I got it. Kind of like
there's a location. There's locations
kind of like
in
Warhammer,
play.
right? Warhammer's
kind of like Warhammer's miniatures, but where that's more visually representative. Whereas with the cards, it's just basically a little more abstract. But that's the idea. Instead of it just being a row of cards and you're just like kind of randomly attacking that side, this side, different cards take up the damage. You have more choices. This character can actually go up against this character. So there's going to be, locations and structures and vehicles and things like that in the game that will actually have a purpose beyond just being like, oh, I play this card and I put it in my discard pile and the effect takes place. You'll actually be able to equip them on the other cards and stuff. It'll kind of be a bit of a combo between a miniature game on the table and just a regular, deck game. And then I've got ideas for even doing it like a deck builder, where you could take the various card types and split them into decks in the middle of the table.
There are like
and
three
the players draw from those and they build their deck while they're playing from a pool of cards. So that's the other idea too, right? Is like, do you not want to sell cards as boosters and get into the whole that whole racket of like, rarities and all that other stuff? Or do you just do expansion packs where it's like you just buy these 100 cards and you've got them all, but the rarity is built into the rules of like, if it's rare, you can only have one of those cards in the pile, but if it's common, you can have 4 of those cards in the pile. So you could own as many of those cards as you want, but in terms of how many can come into play in the game at any time, that's what the rarity does. And so everyone can own the same cards, or you don't have to play into that whole this card is so hard to get and blah blah blah. And then you just do your rare cards, your special cards, as like promo cards. So then during your campaign or certain tiers, like, because we've already talked, I want to do like foil cards and stuff like that, and you just do special, like, here's a 20 card pack of like foil cards of all the main heroes or whatever you want to do, right? And then that's just an extra $5 or whatever, and then people are just going to add that on, right? Because they're like, hey, I've already got these cards, I can use the regular card. The foil doesn't really do anything in the game, but it's cool. It's like a collectible thing, right? It's like, if I want to show off, I can put the foil cards into the game or whatever, like, or just put them in the 9-card binder sheets and collect them that way, whatever you want to do. And that's the other thing I want to do with the game too, is like, then you could just do promo packs. So a CG creator wouldn't have to do a whole game. They could just make like an 18-card pack.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing with the company I want to use. They do the cards in 18-card. Like the one sheet that they print on does 18 cards at a time. So that's your unit cost. You're going to pay the $3 or whatever, no matter what. If you want 1 card printed or 18 cards, it's going to be a $3 cost, and that's your 18 cards, right?
Are you
So
still
you just
talking
do
about
an
the
18-card booster pack, a little, random collectible pack, and then that can be mixed in with the game that anybody else has and the other cards and all that other stuff, right? So.
So
that's pretty different. Building your deck like live like that. I've never heard of that. That sounds pretty fun. Actually.
Yeah, it is a thing now in CCGs and stuff, where it's more, instead of it just being Magic, where you're out buying booster packs and all this stuff and trying to find the cards, they just sell like a big 600 card set. Usually there's a bigger buy-in. That's where they get you, because now you're spending like $80 or $100 on a big box of like 600 cards. And you have everything to play. You can play it 20 ways from Sunday. You don't got to collect all these cards or anything, but you're,
So,
hang on, we got a new guest. Good to see Jay Money. How you doing, man?
Wow.
Hello.
Or
He's
is this
still-
Bragaboon
Mm.
that we have on the channel? I'm a little
He still
unclear
lives.
here.
I
What's
don't
going
know
on?
I would
who I am.
say probably a
Alcohol has not
stripper.
killed him.
Stripper
Jay
Bragaboon.
Sunny has clearly taken some inspiration from Wolverine, at least the CG Wolverine.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's a homeless hermit that's somehow broken into someone's house.
I don't know, man. I think he's like ready for a night out on the town. He's gonna paint the town red, and if I had that fucking bunny suit, man, I would be wearing that shit everywhere. I'd be going like
Who's
out
that?
to the bar with that shit. I'd be like,
Oh, I know what this is. It's that kid from the
Black
Christmas
flag.
Story, and his life went horribly wrong.
I'm used to seeing green screens behind J Money and being in the
Yeah,
most
I
random
know.
places.
The StreamYards did a couple updates, I'd say about 3-4 months ago. Let's just say 2 to 4. And the green screen over time, if you have the camera on, it just starts to lift up. And
I've seen
you
that
can't,
happen too, yeah.
so it just looks
Mm.
like shit. You have to keep adjusting the contrast or whatever. So it's
Oh yeah.
No.
The magic is gone. The magic is
A
gone,
program
J Money.
that I use J Money is XSplit. If you want to try that, I mean, the big screen
yeah, I'll
keeps.
try it. Well, I did all this, so I mean,
I used
I
to
know,
believe
I'm
in
just
you,
letting
J
you
Money.
know.
okay.
I used to believe in you, J Money. Now I don't know what I believe in anymore.
I have
You broke my
I
heart,
got
J Money.
OBS. When I start doing the videos I want to do with my other channel, I have OBS. I got that all planned. But
Yeah.
Dear
Oh,
Lord.
No, I didn't do OBS.
Find
to make
cure
it.
for his OBS. Cure him of his OBS. Thank you, Lord.
By the way, Fade, if you don't know what I was talking about earlier with Magical Girls, I find it very boring as they don't really have much conflict in the story because the antagonists feel like
Yeah.
the antagonists shows feel like non-entities.
Yeah.
which story
The
now?
guy that
Which
doesn't
story?
really like anime, you keep talking about anime, Fizz. What's up?
Hmm?
Uh,
I was waiting till you guys were done. Have you checked? Fizz, have you checked out Tensei?
Tensei, no.
The time I
Type it into the
reincarnated
private
as a
chat so
slime.
you know. 'cause
Oh,
with
I've
these
seen that. Oh, I've
Japanese
seen
names-
that. Well, I've
Yeah.
seen that. That was boring. I felt that was boring too. Yeah.
Really?
Basically, I got bored with that.
Hmm.
I don't really like Isekai either.
What anime do you like, Jay?
Yeah.
You like all
Uh,
the classic stuff, right? Like the older stuff.
Yeah, the older stuff because I used to do the I forget the
No,
VHS
let me
program.
explain. My favorite two anime series so far, my absolute favorites are Monster from 2004, which you've never heard of. I'm still shocked that most people never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Yeah.
And Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Now you've heard of that.
Yes.
I've heard of Full Metal Alchemist, but I don't know all the little sub-series and stuff.
Brotherhood is the redone version, that manga version.
Right.
Ah, okay. Hold on. Let's go back to Jay Dollar Sign real quick. What's your favorite anime, Jay?
Oh, what? I thought he was talking to me for a second. My bad. But the
I was talking to you, Jay.
do you remember you used to get 5 VHSs a month? You remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
And I used to be signed up to the thing. So the first, Vampire Hunter D, Fist of the North Star, and then like really obscure ones. I remember one of my favorite ones. I forget the title of it. It's like they were in a city or something like that, and the one dude had a handgun. I know it's very obscure and totally just ridiculous. But it's
So
been
is it
so
more
long.
like crime or is it sci-fi?
Yeah,
or
it's a
like-
crime. It was totally
it-
crime, not sci-fi at all. He had really short
It's
hair.
not Riding Bean or Gunsmith Cats or
Gunsmith,
Was it
that sounds
Appleseed?
similar.
yeah.
But what it
Cats
is
like
like
an
Appleseed?
action.
no, I love
'Cause
all
that
the
was
apple
kind-
seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the
sci-fi.
apple seeds are great. I've seen all of them.
Mhm.
I love all the new ones. The new ones are good too.
Have you guys
What
seen
about-
Black Magic?
What about Ninja Scroll?
Black
I haven't
Magic,
seen any of them.
M66.
I-
Ninja
I-
Scroll.
I-
four.
ain't
Ninja
seen
Scroll
a
is a
lot of
anime
stuff from-
classic.
Yeah, I ain't seen a whole bunch of stuff from the 80s and 90s. I haven't seen. No, that I care to see. Like, Ninja Scroll.
Chair.
Dope.
But by the way, another anime series I really liked was Made in Abyss. Hers get the second season. It was something that's more moderate.
Right.
Made Abyss.
Made, yeah.
Okay, I'll have to check that
I
out.
like a lot of the like the 80s animation too, like not necessarily the Disney stuff, but like the
So
Ralph
I got-
Bakshi stuff and like the
I got one for the memory bank because I don't remember it for shit all. Do you remember back in the day? You had to be I'll be 40 this year, so it was definitely 15 or 20 years ago. But I used to get off school and you had to have these 3D glasses, but they were always like robots fighting with people, and it was totally like anime based, but it wasn't anime because it was more like the graphics of Gundam. It was more a serious take, but still to this day, because I'm so old, anyone I explain it to, they have no idea what I'm talking about.
But you needed glasses? Like
Yeah, you didn't need it, but when they showed it on TV after school, if you had the red and the blue glasses, it was quote unquote 3D.
Right.
And I used, it was like 15, 20 years ago. And one of the reasons why I remember it so specifically is because we used to have this really thick ass carpet, and then we got rid of that and we had this really thin ass like office style carpet. And I used to like, because it was so much cooler to play with stuff on that, like, you get what I mean? Like, I don't know, whatever. That's like a nostalgic thing. But I remember it specifically because it had its 3D glasses and it's like robots. But no one ever knows what I'm talking about. Like, and it's so difficult to explain. But it was totally a Japanese or Korean style show played in America.
I think I know what it is.
Yeah, and
VR Troopers, I think. No, that was out in the 90s.
How can you not find it on Google? Like, have you tried?
Well, I have. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I mean, I haven't like thought about it recently. So not all of the show was 3D. Like during certain like action scenes.
Right. Yeah, when it's easier to animate the characters or whatever.
Was
with the glasses.
was
And
it
for the 3D effects.
was it a Superhuman Samurai?
No, I don't think it was that, but
Are we just
because
gonna
that
have
was
to
out
sit
in the
here and
90s, not 80s.
Oh, he said 80s.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, this is from the 2000s. You said it was 15.
Yeah. Well, I
ago?
said 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And it could have been like a rewatch.
It could have been
No, it wasn't that
Superhuman
one.
Samurai.
It wasn't Superhuman Samurai. Not at all.
What about VR Troopers? Ever heard of that?
No, it wasn't VR Troopers.
If you're ever looking for like red green
Man,
or red blue 3D, search for anaglyph, ANAGLYPH, because that's the technical term for what that is. So there's one called let's see here.
And if y'all have never seen it, it's actually a damn good story.
It's not Fortress Macross, is it?
No, I don't think that's it, because
So long ago. It's a shame that like,
Yeah, I don't know. I'll hit you up on DMs or whatever
Yeah,
if I
I
figure
think
it
it
out.
might
But I
be
can't
VR
think of it now. I can't find anything in there.
Troopers, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Because that one had
What?
both like kaiju anime kind of thing feel, but then again, that
I
was
think you're just making this all up.
By the way, I think the reason why a lot of people don't know what monster is because the concept. It's so non-anime like, but basically, the concept was is that they got this Japanese doctor who lives in Germany back in the 1980s, West Germany, to be specific, because at that time Germany was two different countries. And then he saves the life of this little boy, this 10-year-old little boy, who was shot in his head with a bullet. Like I say, he's a doctor. And then 10 years later, that boy grows up to be a serial killer. Well, he was a serial killer all the time.
Right, but you find out.
And then now I realize he's the one who's been killing people, and now he has to undo saving that boy's life by going
That
after
sounds
him.
pretty very un-anime like that's the good thing about manga and anime, right? Is there's a lot of different genres and stuff like that. But you're right, you wouldn't necessarily put that into the wheelhouse or the zeitgeist of like most anime out there. Right? So
Monster. Just that one word. And he has to track him all across Europe, trying to stop him from wipe out the human race. By the way, there's no superpowers involved. By the way, like this, like literally no superpowers. All just regular people.
All right. Well, yeah. Speaking of animation, I was saying too, I liked all the '80s animation here. I'm going to give us a brief little interlude here and a little example of some fine '80s American animation.
Arthur, where the hell are the personality circuits on these G2 fembots?
According to the internal schematics manual of the G2 class government service fembot, all personal characteristic circuits are located in her. You're definitely looking in the wrong place.
Well, where are they?
They're in her posterior.
You wouldn't dare.
Help! Help! Help!
Dag, why do you risk your life stealing crystals?
Because, my little water snake, the tax collectors of this galaxy turn an honest worker into a slave. Rubidamite crystals are the main source of fuel for the Bordigan fleet. There. That should do it.
Hi.
That's more like it.
Has anyone ever told you that you're awfully cute for a meat body?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
That's from that Star Wars ripoff movie.
Yeah, Star Chaser and the
Yeah, Star
Legend
Chaser.
of Orin.
Yeah, it was basically a Star Wars ripoff, and
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, yeah, like guy finds a magic sword, and he fights against the evil empire, and there's a space smuggler. Like,
It's not so much about like the plot of the story. It's more about like I enjoy it for like the animation. The characters are kind of like unique for that time period, or not unique, but just kind of like something you didn't really see in a ton of animation like that. It's one of those like cheesy classics that's like, you know, some people have seen, but a lot of people haven't. And
there's a good reason for it. There's no uniqueness to it.
It is technically the first movie to be released with 3D CG graphics. It's the first time that 3D CG graphics were actually used in film to like represent like a ship or something like that. Like obviously I think they used them on displays or something like that because even like the 70s Star Wars movie I think had some wireframe artwork in it and stuff, but yeah, apparently this, and I think it came out in 3D in the theaters too. There's like I think there is even a 3D Blu-ray of it that's come out since.
They should put that back out.
Yeah, I think there was a Blu-ray release of it recently that has
that part of the movie made really that part of the movie really made no sense. He kidnaps a random female fembot and then turns into a sex bot randomly.
It's a kid. That's what I mean. Is it's unique for being like a kid's cartoon of the 80s, but it's dealing with these kind of more gritty themes. It's just they can't really get hyper detailed into like the background for it, right? It's a 1.5 hour. So I kind of forgive it for its, you know, misgivings and stuff in terms of the plot and the story not making too much sense, but I just like the animation.
Rise didn't really care. They just want to cash in on Star Wars.
Okay, and it's got some like, you know, interesting moments and stuff like that. I like it.
Y'all want to see what got shipped out to me today?
What's that?
Go ahead, pull up my screen.
Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
Nice. Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, I tried. I got in too late on that one. That was the exclusive one, right?
It sold out in like 15 minutes or 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know. I tried, but I was like, I haven't bought any of the Revelation guys yet.
I couldn't.
Although now through my comic shop, I do have them all on order.
Yeah. By the way, is the Star Chaser up for grabs? Okay, somebody just buy it.
No, I haven't looked into
Can somebody just buy it? Is it cheap enough for somebody just buy it or get a license to it or something?
Might be.
What are you talking about now? Which one now?
This clip that I played.
No, top of the movie.
Where the hell are the personality circuits on these?
That one.
So what about it now?
Okay, so can somebody buy it?
Oh, wait, hold on.
Studio, so it is probably owned by somebody.
Let me get this straight. They have to get the personality circuits out of her butt.
Yeah.
Yep, and they reprogrammed her into a sex bot.
That's the best place to put it, because that's where I'm going to put it.
They
reprogrammed
it.
Pac-Man. What the hell is Pac-Man?
Yeah, And then
that
that's
up,
from
but
the
nice figure
Package
art.
Back cartoon.
Did you pick up any of the ones?
I
that they
heard
just-
Pac-Man has diabetes.
I love Pac-Man.
I can see that.
Yeah, I can too.
So I got him recently.
Did you get any of the new He-Mans that was just put on? I missed it. So they sold out so fast. Oh, that's nice right there.
Oh shit!
Oh, nice.
7 Rock.
Oh shit!
Damn.
I've got all of them up to now, but this guy's brand new.
No, that's
dope.
fine. That's fine. That's great.
That's dope.
You need to throw that Pac-Man out the window, though.
That's like my childhood. That's why I had a lot of Pac-Man stuff as a kid.
So much
And I've
hatred
got,
for
like,
Pac-Man.
see, like, here's the new Origins guys. You had your Scareglow there. Here's mine.
Is that the one? That's not the one I got, is it?
That's
That's
not-
No,
last
this
year.
is
No.
the Origins one, so
Yeah.
it's not the vintage. He's got like. The
So did you
vintage-
see the
That's not
box?
Skeletor, is it?
No, it's
Yeah,
Scareglow.
No.
He glows in the dark.
Glow.
Scareglow.
Yeah.
Scareglow,
Yeah.
there you go.
I said, the personality cores, they had to reprogram her and return her into a sex
Are
robot.
we still on the sex bots?
I know, dude.
Yeah.
Go with the-
We'll always be on the sex bot, J Money.
Yeah, Star
We are-
Chaser. It was just weird. That was weird.
Shang-Chi,
Oh, okay.
Asian stereotype,
You
Ninja.
throw that out the window.
Ninja
I love
War.
these guys. All the classics. I had him as a kid too.
You can't give Asians nunchucks now.
What was he get? I have Fisto, the best named.
So, He-Man they released all their other characters, and bro, they sold out so fast. You
Damn.
gotta check
Yeah,
them
yeah,
out.
I know. I even tried like some of the convention exclusives. There was like a second chance at the. There's like a Grayskull pit and the robot. Remember the little cardboard robot that was in Castle Grayskull? They made like a figure of that.
So, do y'all want to buy
those.
one of my
It's great.
Skeletors?
I'm good.
One of your Scareglows that you got?
Yeah.
At some point, maybe. But the thing is, he's getting a regular release. Like that one's exclusive. 'cause
No,
the
I'm
box is all
gonna get it
fancy, but-
graded. I'm gonna send it to get it graded.
Yeah, I
first.
would too. I would definitely. You know,
I don't even
these
think I want
cheap
to take
ones,
it out
I
of the
just play with
box.
these guys. I pull them out because they're like, oh shit.
Ooh.
Oh damn! Be careful now.
Uh-huh.
Jason.
Oh shit! Mandy Summers put out a tweet. I didn't even notice because I tuned out half the debate. But oh shit!
This is a Forest Publishing reference because Richard's been putting up the Jason graphic. So I wish we could have this pop up behind Fade or something like that.
This is a hot take, but my favorite Jason movie is the one where he's in space.
Jason X.
Oh, that was.
I honestly like the poster to that movie. Besides that, it's just like,
There's even like a Barbarian Batman. He-Man
Nice.
style.
I remember that. That one's one of my favorites.
These are newer ones. These are like these Primal Age, the Funko ones or whatever. They're kind of like Motu ripoffs, basically.
Mm.
But yeah,
Alright, since I
don't
haven't
know.
done this in a while, here we go.
Are you
Nice.
taking your pants off?
No, I was changing the
Oh, okay.
mask.
He's going bearded
Yeah,
cyborg.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Can
Is
you
that
actually
an
see
actual
anything when you have all
property?
that shit on your face?
Hmm?
Say that again, guys.
Is that an actual property, like a bearded cyborg?
It is now.
Nope.
It is now. I
Yeah.
stole it.
You got to
I
do
already
that,
have a
man.
name
Well,
for it.
no,
No,
technically
no, no.
I
It's my
started J
creation.
Money.
I
change your
technically-
name
I've
to
already
Beard
trademarked
Board.
it and everything.
Change your name to
Wait.
Beard Board.
I like that. That's a pretty
Right?
good avatar.
So I'm gonna get heat for this too, but you know what the outfit just reminded me of? That Donnie Cates book, A Tomahawk. You guys ever heard about that?
Nope. No, I haven't heard of that.
That was his like action figure comic thing that he tried to do on Kickstarter.
I've
And
never
the
heard of that in my
action figure-
life.
I think it got like 30 or 40,000, I think, but it was
Yeah.
like-
So before I ever joined CG, I got that book because it was from a tattoo artist from Texas, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome! A tattoo style comic book." And then I come to find out it's from Donnie Cates and everything.
Who's
should-
Donnie Cates? Who's
he's like
Donnie
a big
Cates?
writer. He's one of the top writers right now. And Big Two, or even in like Image.
This.
He did Venom. He does like crossover and Thor, and he does like Baby Teeth. Like he's pretty prolific. Like he's written a lot of stuff.
He
Silver Surfer
sucks.
Black. He's not a bad writer. Like he's an idiot on Twitter and in person. Seems like, but his comic
Yeah, that's
writing
what broke
skills
my
are-
heart. What broke
Yeah,
my
yeah.
heart is his run on Venom was one of my favorite things ever to come out
great,
from
yeah.
Marvel
Yeah.
this year. And then I joined CG and I see everything he's done, and I'm like, no, that's why they say don't
See,
be
that's-
your idol.
That whole like art from the artist separation thing. That's all I do. I can't like.
Mm.
You know, I like what I like, and if somebody pisses me off enough, then yeah, I'll stop buying their shit. But if the book's decent and I'm enjoying it, I'm not just going to stop reading it just because, oh, this person said a stupid thing. It's just like, well, this idiot happens to write a good comic book, so. Right. Here, hang on, I'm going to go bigger on you.
Whoa, that's dirty.
Yeah, it looks pretty
Nice.
cool. I know, it looked good. The action figure looked like ass, though. I don't know if you bought the figure or just got the comic, but
No, I didn't even know there was a figure. This
yeah,
is
there
just
was a
something I
figure.
got
The
years
figure- That's
ago.
when they started making fun of him. Is just like that's
Ah,
pretty cool shit.
That's all cool.
Is the story decent or is it just generic?
Yeah.
No, the story was shit, but it looked so fucking good. It's just different than what you usually
That's a
see.
terrible page. Ugh. That's so dumb.
It's not
A
as
little
cool
on
as
the
Melvin
nose with
number
the
one.
stylishness. Like sometimes if it's too stylized, it starts to wear on my nerves a little bit. Unless the stylism of the art plays into the story itself. But if it's like, you know, the story and the art don't match well, then it kind of bothers me after a while. And if the story sucks, then the art's not going to really save it.
I feel like this beard's gotten bushier since the last time I pulled it out.
Whoa. What did you pull out?
That's what she said.
Mhm.
Pull out
Yeah,
the
so
book.
I definitely expect to see a bearded cyborg as a playing card in the game.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Yeah.
Which cyborg now?
You got
Bearded
it.
cyborg.
Bearded. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So, Melvin has, at least I think, was it 3 categories? Is heroic, villainous, and neutral. That's what we're going with, right?
So far, yeah, for the kind of alignments or whatever. We might be able to break that down more, actually, because theoretically I would like to get about 6 different factions in there. Like, they're not really factions. That's why they're just kind of generic, like heroic,
Right.
villain, and neutral. But it just kind of works in the sense of like you know, generally all hero characters are going to be together and villain characters are going to be together, and then neutral characters or units can be used in either or, and then you have loyal characters that will only be in companies or armies of their same alignment, right? Like you could have the evil of the evil aren't going to let some like neutral lackey or bounty hunter necessarily be on their team, or vice versa, right? You might have somebody that's so principled that they're not going to let some kind of more gray area character into their midst. But again, it's one of those things with the rules where you can be pretty modular and play around with it. Like, what is
And then
neutral, really, right? Like, you could fit probably 2 or 3 kind of middle ground or conflicting alignments in there that aren't specifically hero or villain, right?
Right,
I
right.
just don't know what you would call them within the grand scheme of like being not just superhero characters, but like, you know, theoretically any kind of like sci-fi setting, any kind of like
Yep.
historic period setting, like anything that somebody would make a comic or a game about, right? Like, but
And then I guess we have the stats basically is it mind, body, and soul, and that has to do with their all their stats and everything.
right. For now, yeah, and they break down a little bit more, but just in terms of like, you know, because even Magic simplifies it, right, where you just have kind of an attack and a defense, basically. Kind of make it a little bit more like an RPG light, you know. I figure you've got 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches on a card. Put as much stuff on the card that you can get away with in terms of like stats or abilities or things that you can do in the game. It's not that everything on the card has to be in use all the time. It's just more about giving the players choices on stuff. Are you actually like going to do some wrapper cutouts in your eyebrows, Dario?
Apparently, he's shaving his eyebrows with a
I was gonna
knife.
say you could put some little notches in there, and like Jay's got like the unicorn
Don't
horn
know.
going on here.
That's safe for you too.
I thought he was gonna do something crazy like scalp
weird.
himself on
Well,
screen
you know,
or something.
It's quite
Hey,
nice.
you're kind of in
know.
my neck of the woods a little bit. So I'm like 15 minutes away from one of them, but you gotta have Native American reservations near you too, right?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, the whole in my province here in Canada has the most First Nations of anywhere in Canada.
Is
And
it the
in terms
same?
of, like my city, same thing. Like our city population is like 20% First Nation.
By the way,
Is it the same? Wait.
By the way, Nova Blast. Last time I was on stream with you, you said that the marketing departments think that artists can't understand thematic oppositions in terms of heroes and rose gatherers, right?
Yeah, I kind of get what you're saying, but like, so are we talking about where like the hero and the villain didn't match each other?
Yeah, like when hero and villain doesn't have the same powers, but
Right.
they match thematically. Like for example, you said that they weren't. I mentioned that an earlier drafts of the first Iron Man movie, they were supposed to be Fin Fang Foom.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So our discussion, we were talking about how like, yeah, they always create a generic villain that just mirrors the hero, right? So you had Ironmonger and Iron Man, whereas in the original script, Fin Fang Foom would have been the villain, but because this giant dragon doesn't seem to fit the theme of technology and warfare and all the stuff in Iron Man, they dice that out, right? So yeah, I mean that's kind of common in all these carbon copy Marvel movies, right? Is that
I know.
Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket? It's the same guy, just basically.
I know.
What point did you have on that?
I know because like do these marketing departments actually think that artists can't understand thematic oppositions or think they understand these types of villains at all?
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's like, but you know how it's like committee, right? Like there's the writers first.
Oh, committee.
Glug glug.
Well, just the committee of creators in the sense of it's a studio doing it for one thing. So like they want to spend X amount of money, but they want it to go as far as possible. So they're not going to do anything too far outside the box. So your example of Fin Fang Foom, right there, you've got giant CG budget to create this giant realistic dragon-looking guy, and it's like the argument: do you go with the comic look? Do you make it look more realistic? What do you do? And then it's like, how do you have a battle between Iron Man and Fin Fang Foom all throughout the movie and have it make sense? Like I could see that for the big ending battle.
could have
it makes sense in ending battle and have Fin Fang Foom be built up.
But to have him throughout the movie, like it's harder, right? But if you have just some human character, another guy in a suit, or the CEO guy, it's easier with the plot, with the script to actually do that, right? So I understand why they make these choices, but it's so obvious where that's one of the fatal flaws of the Marvel movies is that formula of just picking a villain that's the counterpart of the hero and they're just like him in evil colors basically with the same power set. It just doesn't. It's dead now. Like it doesn't work anymore. You can't.
Not only that, but it makes the fight scenes boring, very boring. Since the villain can't exploit the hero's weakness or vice versa while affecting themselves.
Or I brought up like Whiplash, like in Iron Man 2, right? Like I like that Mickey Rourke was in there, but I want to see Mickey Rourke wearing the swashbuckler style Whiplash costume from the 80s Iron Man comics, right? Like the Bob Layton version. I don't know if there's some newer version of him. I haven't not totally up to date on Iron Man. But to just make him then like another tech guy and to steal like, oh, he's also like, building this shit or his dad was, it's like it's just unimaginative, but I don't know.
Yeah. Or for example, or another example is for example like a Captain America movie. Well, Captain America doesn't really have that much of a really good role gathering anyway, but they're always focused on the political thing. That's the whole theme of every movie. and
yeah,
every movie, which is very strange since he spent lost periods in the time in the comics fighting other things.
I think it's just
But
a matter of time too, right? It's like they always know that, okay, we got 2 or 3 movies. We got to shoot our wad here really quick, so we got to get to these storylines of these characters first. We can't like go, stick our thumb up our butt and have Cap fight Man-Wolf or something like that.
Fight
in the
Porcupine or
second
something.
movie.
Yeah.
Like, what do you guys think? Would you guys want to see like more obscure villains and characters, or do you kind of like? Because my argument is like, I think Marvel is like shitting the bed when they keep doing the same thing over and over again. But I don't see how they can't do it.
They
over and
know
over
what we
again, right?
want.
Unless they really have an interesting concept. Like I'd say with Guardians of the Galaxy, that kind of thing, you can go a little more out there. But with the generic characters, like they're always going to just have them evenly matched that way.
Yeah.
Well, here's a major.
Wait, Fizz, let somebody else talk for a bit.
I'm glad that you brought up Guardians of the Galaxy, because that's what I was gonna say. You're saying how you don't know what they should do next. I think they should explore the Marvel cosmology. Like, I think they should get into the Shi'ar Empire. There's definitely money to be made with the Starjammers. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy did so well that I think it's kind of a no-brainer. That's where they should go.
Yeah,
And
but
with
the
Thanos
folks,
and the end of all that stuff, yeah.
the folks at the Disney Marvel really don't care. They just care about her getting diversity in there. That's why they made diversity.
There is a crew of people that have that as their agenda, and there's other people. Like, there's probably tons of people just like all of us in the creative teams and stuff, where they're just regular guys that want to see these movies be good, but their voices get drowned out by the higher ups and the people that are more in the decision making process. There's like, think about like 90% of the people working on the movie are just being told what to do. It's only about 10%, 5% that are actually making those creative choices, right? So there's only so much they can do, and that's why what I mean by like I can't really see them going in any other direction, because it's cost effective, it's easy, they know they can get away with it. It's kind of like the audience has already accepted it. So it's it's kind of the default choice no matter what, is you always just try to pick some yin and yang type of good guy bad guy type scenario, or but you're right, Fizz, in that it would be more interesting to have like some of these iconic villains, because I even brought up Stiltman and Daredevil. Like, can you imagine seeing a Daredevil movie or even an episode of the show where he goes up against Stiltman, even though Stiltman is kind of lame, but he's this iconic Daredevil villain, and he's like so mismatched with Daredevil that it's like, how would you work that into the story or the script? And people would talk about that shit, right? Because that would get all the buzz. They'd be like, "What the fuck?" Like, they're putting Stiltman in a
not only that, but can you imagine a Daredevil movie in which he fights the Purple Man as he usually does?
Right. Well, and that's where like I think Marvel's been smart in that they've spun off other properties like Jessica Jones and things. They'll go and like grab characters from other properties and mix them in, because they realize, hey, on TV for this medium, these characters work better together than say in a big blockbuster movie. So
yeah, because Daredevil is less important because he has less superpowers.
Right, and they didn't even like use him in costume a ton in the show. Like, if you go back and watch it, it's a lot of Matt Murdock stuff.
I know. He put on a costume until the end of the first season.
Right.
Have you guys seen What If yet? I haven't watched any of it yet.
I ain't seen none of it. I ain't seen none of it because I don't
Pretty
care.
mediocre.
I don't care.
By the Marvel standard of like, if you enjoy the MCU and you Jay left for a bit. If you like the MCU and you're kind of interested in like the development of the plot lines and stuff and which character went which way, because that's what they do, is they just play with, this character from this movie and they went in this direction, now let's send them in this direction. So if you've seen all the MCU movies, then you'll get all the references and it'll be like a trip back to those moments and things, but it doesn't really do anything in the grand scheme of it. That's what it's the MCU spinning its wheels. It's kind of just
Why can't they do an animated version of what if Marvel lost Atlantis Attacks, or what if they lost the
do like a storyline or an annual, the annuals would always have a storyline running through them every year back in the day, or they would do the crossover event in the summer. So you could take, like, everyone talks about a Secret Wars movie, but you're right, Secret Wars for Atlantis Attacks would be better for
Have you seen that? Have you read that issue?
Atlantis Attacks.
What if Marvel lost to Atlantis
That one, the
Attacks?
specific What If. Yeah, that's from the newer series. I think I probably have back when it came out, but I don't remember it specifically.
Or what if Wolverine was the Lord of the Vampires?
Yeah.
I got that one.
But what if Wolverine was an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.? That one's pretty good.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, there's a bunch of interesting ones, but a lot of them are just characters. Like, think of all the Galactus ones. Think of all the Silver Surfer ones. Think of all the different characters that they don't have access to. So they're not going to go ahead and be like, oh, let's introduce Silver Surfer. That actually would be the way to get What If on the map, is you say, hey, yes, it's an animated version, but this is like the first MCU appearance of Silver Surfer or Galactus or whatever. And then they'd have to nail down the design so that, like, when they appear in the movies, their live action counterparts.
I got one.
Much, you know.
I got one. What if Disney never bought Marvel?
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I want to see them do more than 90s characters. Like, the one thing everyone talks about, like, the horror side, right? They're excited for Blade and Morbius and, you know, any of the horror side.
We already had Blade.
For Marvel, but what I want to see is more than 90s guys. So I'm talking Darkhawk, I'm talking Sleepwalker, I'm talking, you know, like Death's Head. Remember
Fool
Death's
Killer.
Head from Marvel UK?
Yeah, Fool Killer wasn't Jessica Jones.
Fool Killer actually was a kind of a cool character. There was Terror Inc. Like, there was all these weird titles that.
But if you don't know, Fool Killer wasn't a Jessica Jones TV show. He was a villain in the third season, and he got killed.
But he wasn't really like used. You know,
he got killed. He got killed in Fool Killer number 3.
Whizzer? I think even Whizzer was supposed to be in Jessica Jones. And I mean, Whizzer is like an old school Invaders character from like the 40s. But meanwhile, some guy, it was that guy that got like the building or the scaffolding or whatever fell on him because he ran away. But I don't know. They tried to imply that he was the Whizzer. He even had like a yellow sweater on to, like, you know, go with the colors of the character. But that, I don't count that as being like the character appearance, because it's just more of an Easter egg inside joke.
No, Fool Killer was actually in there though.
Did they call him Fool Killer?
They didn't call him Fool Killer in the same way they didn't call Kilgrave the Purple Man. But he was his name. He called him by his real name.
And watch it again, but yeah, whatever. It's just to me, it's like I don't even necessarily count the Netflix series as being MCU proper anyway, because they were so like low budget, but
and divorced from everything else.
Divorced from everything else. Yeah, they barely mentioned any of this stuff.
As in the movies don't mention them all because Kevin Feige don't like the fact they exist.
But talking cosmic, okay, there you go. So Sleepwalker. So you want to talk cosmic, right? It's like you would have Darkhawk as being like the Earth-based guy that is the character in the audience that you go, you know, see his adventures, right? Because the Raptors are from space. Then you could bring in Nova and Quasar. Those are two other guys from the 90s that were big. Eventually, I want to see them do the new Warriors from the 90s. Like, they keep talking, who do we do after Avengers and all this stuff? And they want to do like, oh, Young Avengers, Dark Avengers. Like, no, do new Warriors, but do them right. Because you got Speedball, Night Thrasher, Firestar, like
Nova, Firestar, what else? Speedball.
Yeah, a lot of good characters, like, and they can really build up those characters to do their own thing eventually.
Shatterstar was X-Force.
Now that's the other thing, is now that Marvel has the X-Men characters, they would be smart to actually sprinkle in some of those. Like, they tried with New Mutants, but you're right. X-Factor, X-Force, Excalibur, any of those, you know, even the
Gladiator from the Shi'ar.
Yeah, Gladiator from the Shi'ar. You said Starjammers are really cool. Like, there's just so many characters that they have access to, right? And they can still keep it space-based if they want, but still do a bit of stuff on Earth, because you want to keep it like grounded, right, on planet Earth.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they're gonna introduce the X-Men now after the whole Infinity Stone thing happened. My theory
was the answer to everything. It's the answer to everything.
Yeah, I hope it's not that. I hope it's my theory where they say Professor X hit the X-Men from everybody with his mental powers. I don't know.
Have you seen the X-Men where Charles Xavier is firing all the X-Men?
Yeah, we were watching that last time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Have they seen it? It's hilarious.
I don't want to like watch too many YouTube videos on here because I just don't want to get like.
Oh, I'll tell you about it. There's
Okay,
one where
Sleepwalker is cool because he could be like the Doctor Strange
bullets.
of the cosmic MCU. Like he could still fit in because he's in the dreams and stuff, right? So if you even go out in space, people still go to sleep and they still dream. The dreamscape is everywhere. Sorry, Tim. I like Sleepwalker. He's one of those weird characters that nobody likes, but he's actually a really interesting character and a really interesting like kind of world for the characters and the story play out in.
Yeah, Disney Marvel doesn't care. They just care about Eternals, and they basically made that movie for two reasons: one, diversity, and two, despite the Warner Brothers for not making a new Guys movie.
Right. Yes, I would agree with both those points. But on your first point of the diversity thing, so I actually see certain properties as being like, I would be okay with their pro-diversity shit if it was like few and far between, in the sense of like with a movie like Eternals, that's the perfect property to do it on because you have a cast of characters nobody knows, so it doesn't really matter who you cast. It's not like anyone's going to argue like, no, it should have been this actor, no, it should have been this guy.
Exactly, because nobody cares about them at all.
And you can do the gender bending and the race bending and all that stuff, and nobody cares because nobody cares about those characters. So I'm not so pissed about when Eternals does it. It's just they're going to get the shit end of the stick now because every other movie before them tried to get away with it, and now everyone's going to just notice with Eternals like, oh, you're just like keeping it on, you know, whereas it's like, well, no, that actually makes sense for that property, but not a lot of others. So I don't know. I'm like total shit, but I do actually like the Eternals characters. Like, I love all those Jack Kirby properties, and I know it's going to totally shit all over Jack Kirby's vision of those characters. It doesn't have any of the look of the costumes or the, you know, the kind of chariots of the gods, you know, like these ancient aliens or anything, but I guess we'll see. Oh, lucky bastard's got his Melvin. He's just do.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with the whole thing that they don't care about like obscure characters, because I never in a million years thought we were going to get a Shang-Chi movie. Like I still
made that movie for China. That's the whole movie was made for.
Yeah.
Honestly, though,
miscalculation on their part.
A lot of the Chinese weren't digging that movie.
Nope.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, you kind of bit him in the ass in.
A perfect example of go woke or get woke, go broke, right? Because they thought that getting woke in that sense would make them rich, but actually went in the opposite direction if China doesn't play the movie. Now, China, sometimes they change their mind and months later they'll carry the movie, but it doesn't look like at this point.
They're still not carrying the movie? You know,
I don't think they ever took Black Widow. I think Black Widow got snubbed too, and they still haven't.
I keep telling people this. The one that played her sister in the movie. Remember when they met up at the safe house? Anybody watch that?
Yeah.
Way hotter than Scarlett Johansson.
I thought she was pretty cute. I'm actually pretty excited that if she's the new Black Widow, I think that'll work pretty well.
I noticed this. Another problem with the MCU formula is that the sequels to their movies are usually not very good. I mean, Thor 2 was just. I actually didn't like. I hate Thor 2. I didn't really like that movie.
Wait, which one is that? Ragnarok?
Dark World. The Dark World.
Either the elves like Malekith and the Dark Elves.
The Dark World.
What about Iron Man 2? Did you like that?
I had no problem with Iron Man 2, but I had a problem with Thor 2. Thor 2. Yeah, that's another problem.
Iron Man 2 is better than Thor 2 for sure. But
yeah, I know. Because Thor 2, I don't know what the hell was that after I finished watching it. It was like, what the hell was this? I mean, the conflict, but most of the movie was about Jane Foster, Natalie Portman, and she absorbed the space stone, the Aether, which makes no sense to me since it's not stone, it's more like gas than anything.
Well, I mean, the whole idea of like, oh, these concentrated ingots of like the singularity that created the universe, like that physically doesn't make sense either. That, oh, it's a gemstone, but you're telling me it's from a singularity. It would basically have the density of a black hole. Like it would be a cosmological item in the sense that it would have its own gravity. It would have so much energy radiating from it. You couldn't get
It has
near
so
it.
much
But meanwhile,
gravity
it's
it
just a
caused
little like
wormhole.
sparkly gem. That...
Yeah, it has so much. That wasn't a gem. It was gas. It was gas. Not to
No, I
mention
know,
it has,
but that's what I'm saying is like if you're gonna give the conceit that these are all powerful gems from the beginning of all existence, then you have to concede that this thing can morph into like a gaseous form or whatever. That's the whole idea, is that these gems are possessing some connection to a dimension that doesn't even reside in our own universe, right? Like they can have infinite power basically. So I don't really...
Well,
it just looks dumb. It's just like it's the other comic book movie trope of just having like, oh, it's particle systems, let's see what our CGI guys can do with particle systems, and that's all it is. It's just an easy, cheap way. I could literally make that effect in Blender in like 10 minutes, and that's why they do it. It's like making a particle system is super fast.
I know. It didn't make any sense. And not only that, but also the plot revolved around that, and lots of strange stuff like the villain in this movie is pretty much a non-entity. Like he has no personality to even speak of.
Yeah, like the way they would have had to do it is base it off of the Walt Simonson comics of the 80s, like that, because the Malekith and the Dark Elf stuff was all Walt Simonson during like the early to mid 300s in Thor, and it's all fucking great shit. Like it's just, but it's super epic. Like kind of the Norse theme is heavy into it, so they don't, in the movie they had to space up the elves, whereas in the comic they have a little bit more of the fantasy trope,
and he's trying to make and here's the thing with those early Thor movies, he tried to make Thor a sci-fi based character. It doesn't really work.
I thought it worked for the most part, but what it comes down to is that they tried to ground the Thor movies too much, where they should have leaned into because that's why everyone loves Ragnarok, is because the visuals are so comic booky and so like they look like they're taken from the panels of a Thor or Jack Kirby comic or any of those guys. Even actually Simonson, I could see the influence there too. That's what they should have done for all the Thor books, is like thematically match them to a time period in the comics and try to replicate. The first Thor movie I thought was a pretty good way to introduce
I like the first one.
The second one, because they just got a generic Game of Thrones director to do it, it didn't really have much uniqueness. But
not only does it fail visually, it fails on a storytelling level. I mean, the plot, the story was basically meaningless. I mean, okay, let's say a tornado shows up.
A lot of those like MCU movies that were the lead up to Infinity War, though, where Thanos is just getting the gems, they all
but Thanos wasn't even in this one.
I know, that's what I mean. Is like it's literally just a movie to set up like a plot in the greater MCU, and that's why it fails. It's not even necessarily the specifics of like who he fights or what it looks like or any of the other shit. You're right. It's just like, oh, it's about this one gem and that's it. And the whole misdirects with Loki and, it's pretty much a forgettable movie. Like I said, that's why I've only watched it twice, because, really
I only watched it once. So. It was just a pointless movie.
Right. And even if you're going to go watch the MCU again, you can kind of skip over that one.
Yeah. Same thing with same thing with another bad MCU sequel is like I heard Ant-Man and the Wasp. That had no point either.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't mind some of it though, because again, it's more about the visuals in that movie. I thought it was fun and like I think I've watched it maybe 2 or 3 times. But
the thing with Ant-Man in MCU is that he's more of a street level hero. But
no one knows that.
But the problem is they didn't do. You could still. There's so many directions the plot could have done that would have been interesting, the same way as the Raimi Spider-Man movies. But they do none of that. They just had a minor Iron Man villain showed up who's race swapped and gender swapped. It doesn't mean anything. Just another villain nobody cares about.
Well, that's a setup. They're gonna bring her back as like a good guy at some point.
I know. Of course, she got the vagina, so of course he's gonna turn good. Yeah. And then we're gonna have by the way, the villain in that movie was dumb since she basically is the villain for no reason at all. Like she literally could talk the situation out, and we had to go through none of that at all.
That's another comic book trope, though. You're right, though, but it's kind of like one of those things that you expect in a comic story, right? Where the antagonist and the protagonist, if they just literally had a conversation, the whole conflict would be done with. But at the same time, it's like, it's again one of those things you got to go into a movie just understanding it's one of the tropes of both comics and movies where.
But the problem was that's the main antagonist, and the main antagonist in the movie isn't evil. So how you have a villain in the movie that's not evil?
That's why I kind of like the Ant-Man movies, though, is they kind of skirt that line of like they're an action comedy where the main plot is not really the main focus. It's more about the character moments and interactions.
But
and
the
some
thing
of the
is,
visual. I'm not saying it's a good choice to make if you're trying to
Mhm.
make like this mainstream movie that is going to actually be a good movie, but I think it's just it's fluff, right? It's like cotton candy, basically.
And not only that, but the actual character. And speaking of the characters, the actual character of Ant-Man doesn't grow or evolve or anything. It doesn't go through any interesting trials, nothing. The whole movie is basically about the Wasp, essentially.
Yeah, but I kind of
Ant-Man's
like
just
that.
not a
I
character.
really like Evangeline Lilly. She's been good. I've liked her since Lost and stuff. So
And
I was
Ant-Man's
kinda fine
basically a
with that.
side character. His own movie, man. Man, that's pretty much what
Yeah,
third
that
movie's
kind
gonna
of
be.
matches the theme of the character himself, though, right? Like he's always kind of second fiddle.
While he's second
and
side, you could easily make a movie about the a second fiddle character. Like look at Deadpool. Look at Deadpool movies. Those that did much better.
Yeah, but Deadpool 2 kind of suffers from a lot of
Yeah.
the same stuff that
I
Ant-Man
know,
and
I know.
Wasp
As
suffered
I
from
know,
too, right?
stuff.
So
I know they did too. I know. I remember. The thing is with the sequel, they don't know where to go with this. Even though it's sometimes so obvious.
Right.
In case of Ant-Man,
and Fizz, just so you don't get the wrong idea, like I don't necessarily disagree with anything you're saying, right? It's just it's a lot of this just comes down to like personal preferences or whatever bugs you or doesn't bug you in a movie. But you're making valid points. Like I don't think anybody here is gonna say like you're off the off base with any of this stuff, but it's just like I don't know, MCU. So do you even still care, Fizz? Like, do you really worry that much that, or are you just like, they've already shit the bed, and going forward, I'm not like that invested in it, or do you hope that it?
I'm not invested in it at all. I don't. After Endgame, I just don't care anymore.
Right. I'm kind
like,
of the same way. I'll still watch the shit, but I'm just like, I don't really care if it's good or bad or anything.
I'm not even gonna watch it. I'm not even gonna spend time, waste time.
I'm holding out hope, man, because Endgame was fucking great to me. I hope that they can capture the same thing they did, but with X-Men. Is that all those old X-Men movies? They just don't cut it.
Okay, but I'm talking about like for example, with Ant-Man 2, they could have easily went down the Spider-Man 2 route, the original Spider-Man 2 I'm talking about. Route, but
right, a bigger villain, a more intense storyline. Yeah,
exactly. It could have easily went down that route, but with Whirlwind in place of Dr. Octopus, and then it would have been a good movie.
Dude, Chubby and Dumpy Thor was one of the greatest things I ever saw.
You worked in Chubby and Dumpy.
And now that's in
which is in the title of this stream, so thank you for that. Debate breakdown: fat and ugly or chubby and dumpy? Because that was one of the things they were arguing about, is whether that Marco Tamiki was fat and chubby.
And now that's in God of War apparently.
How did it? Where it says CG scrambled.
Right, CG scrambled, Chillstream and debate breakdown: fat and ugly or chubby and dumpy? At the end. Title.
Okay,
and the CG scrambled thing is just a reference to my Twitter handle, Acetic Smog, because if you scramble up the letters of Comicsgate, it comes up with Acetic Smog, and that's why I chose it as my Comicsgate Twitter handle. Well, and I have the C and the G big in the Twitter thing, right? So that you know I'm CG just from looking at the name.
Marvel and Disney have scrambled brain problems.
Well, that's the thing. A lot of this shit going on in the industry and everything, that's what it comes down to. Like, I want to do a scrambled show where that's going to kind of be the theme, is like how much all this stuff is getting fucked up and how, but also like the reference too is that scrambled stuff can be good too, like scrambled eggs. Like you're just gonna take a couple eggs and beat them up together with a bunch of other shit and it tastes good. It's like, yeah, you can just take a random bunch of shit, put it together, and you got yourself a fucking awesome thing. So scrambled is both good and bad.
A franchise I think is even worse off than MCU is Star Wars. I mean, no, even less people care about Star Wars anymore.
Started on Star Wars, man. I've got like 2 of those shelves back there are just full of Star Wars books. I've got like boxes, like
I'm talking about
an entire storage closet full of Star Wars toys and everything, and I'm so divorced from Star Wars at this point. I'm
by the way, I said like I said, even less people care about Star Wars nowadays. I mean, I mean, after Last Jedi, I didn't watch Rise of Skywalker.
It'll come back though. Oh, I hear a cricket. Cool.
You mean it'll
Got Anna's
come back?
cricket thing.
You mean it'll come back?
Star
Ha.
Wars will come back because remember when the Thrawn trilogy happened in like I don't know 90 or whatever year that was. Like Star Wars had basically been dead for 6 or 7.
I think that was
whenever
that was
Jedi
like
came
late.
out.
That was
Yeah,
late
but they
90s.
didn't
No,
destroy
it
the
wasn't
original
late
story
90s.
though.
It was like early 90s. I want to see. I think it was like I want to say like maybe 91 Heir to the Empire.
Yeah, but it's impossible, bro. Really bring
So like
Star Wars back.
Star
because of
Wars what year is it? 91 May 1st 91 the hardcover came out.
They pretty much destroyed. They pretty much destroyed the original stories, and the people actually like.
No,
and
they can
create-
retcon all that shit. Like I know they say, "Oh, it's canon, it's movies, it'll never die," but they can. And Doomcock and all these guys have their theories of like, "Oh, they'll go through the what is it? The
Veil of the Force."
Yeah, like
And then
there
they
is
use
a
time
somewhat
travel.
like in-universe canon explanation of how they could do it.
So we going to Days of Future Past here. Days of Future Past here to make sequel trilogy never happen or something.
I'm kind of like fascinated. Like I'm one of those Star Wars guys where it's like I love when they stick to the rules of Star Wars, but I'm also fascinated when they break the rules of Star Wars.
Okay, here's what we do.
So I would love like time travel in Star Wars or alternate multiverse dimensions in Star Wars. I wouldn't be completely against it, but it would have to be done extremely well. They would really have to think like because too many properties are using the multiverse idea now that it just becomes a generic concept.
Okay,
So they'd have to make it unique to Star Wars. The same thing like hyperspace is unique to Star Wars. There's tons of FTL in sci-fi where they travel faster than light, and even the whole idea of going into another dimension was kind of done by Dune and all this stuff. But they just visually and thematically make it their own thing. Just like
you mean when
everything else
they
in Star Wars.
fold space?
Right.
That's
exactly.
Star Trek.
So, I mean,
That's Star Trek.
Star Wars is
That's
never really
Dune.
original
That's
in anything.
Dune.
They rip off shit from everything. It's
I know.
Just, even the laser sword is like a Buck Rogers thing, right? So
I know. I love. If you don't know, folding space, that comes from Star Trek. Star Wars, they turn intangible.
No,
I mean, it goes back. There's like Lovecraft shit from the 20s that was mentioning like going into other dimensions for space travel.
Hey
and
John,
stuff. So
but help me out here.
it
The
goes
folding
back.
space thing was Dune, right? Wasn't
Dune was probably the main one that everyone thinks of, yeah. But I think even Asimov, maybe in some of the Foundation books and stuff like that, had similar concepts. But a lot of it just comes out of like the old Einsteinian, Einstein-Rosen bridge, right? Of like picture flat space as a sheet of paper and then bend it together and poke a pencil through it or whatever. Like everyone
hyperspace in Star Wars, they go into another dimension, and then in that dimension, everything's intangible from their perspective.
Well, not technically intangible because they say if you don't chart the proper course with the navigation computer, then you're going to fly through a star. So the gravity wells probably still exist in hyperspace.
Yeah, gravity, but matter is intangible.
It's like going into a higher or lower dimension. You can move faster, right? Because you're not limited by the speed of light, or for every unit that you pass there, you're passing like 100 units in real space, kind of idea.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. At least that's how it was supposed to be. Ryan Johnson didn't get that though.
I got an idea.
Let Dario talk. You're gonna say something.
I'll let Timmy go after I say this. The whole, I think I got an idea too. What I'd like to see in Star Wars, if they ever do implement time travel, is make Jar Jar Binks turn into a Sith.
That'd be cool.
That was a good idea when that came out on the internet. Everyone was kind of like, it sounded dumb at first, but then the more you thought of it, you're like, hey, wait, that would help explain a lot of the prequel stuff. It would tie them together. It would be a cool reveal. It could look badass because some of the artwork I saw was actually really cool.
Yeah,
like a
it made Jar Jar look really good.
Yeah, so I was like, it won me over after a while. I was like, I didn't want to like this at first, but as an idea,
I know. Cause keep in mind, unlike most people, I actually hate Jar Jar like most people. I didn't hate him that much. I
don't hate him that much either. Actually, I'm the same way. I kind of get off on other people's hatred of Jar Jar. I'm like, if you're gonna let a fucking character from a Star Wars movie get you that pissed off, I'm gonna laugh at that more than I'm gonna laugh at Jar Jar himself. Like he's barely in the movies. Like
he only had two purposes.
And it's
I
like
mean,
it's
I
better
hated
than-
Rose Tico. I didn't hate Jar Jar.
Rose Tico didn't barely even existed in the sequel trilogy too.
No.
I mean, you
no.
can't erase Jar Jar from the movies, and it pretty much doesn't make that much of a difference anyway. So you could argue that maybe he's a pointless character, but it's just and then the
So-
stereotype of like, oh, that stupid voice, and what's he
Again,
doing
I
with
want
all
to say sorry for cutting anybody off.
No, go for it. Jump in.
So I thought they could take every copy of the sequel trilogy, go to the desert, find where they buried the all those ET video games, and then dump all the sequel copies of the sequel trilogy in with the ET cartridges, and then bury that.
I'm curious if those ET games are still there, or if people have gone and dug them all up, because there's even a documentary, right, where these guys go find it and they use like a backhoe to start digging them up, and maybe there's hundreds of thousands of them in the ground, but I would wonder if
I'd be
over
interested
time
if those things still worked.
I think one of them did. I think they cleaned one off and it actually still worked. As long as the contacts and everything aren't too corroded, there's no reason why it couldn't be preserved underground for like 20, 30 years.
Yeah. And another franchise that's not doing so hot is DC. I mean, they never was doing so hot.
Well, DC, I would that's its own beast, just because it's like under it's so many, like I would even say all the different characters and worlds. Like Batman is kind of its own IP, Justice League is kind of its own IP, even though they crisscross and but DC could kind of like, they could just do Justice League and do like a whole universe of shows and movies just off those characters, or they could just pick Batman and focus on that for 10 years. So
I know.
Whereas with Star Wars was smart, they would actually do it more like a comic, where they would start branching off, and they would do like, let's just do kind of like what Mandalorian did, where it's like, hey, let's just look at this bounty hunter corner of the Star Wars galaxy. And eventually it tied into the main storyline, but at first you just thought, oh, we're just going off on these adventures with this more classic styled, Ralph McQuarrie looking Mandalorian character. So then they could do that with Star Wars. They could just have a whole Jedi series, but it's not based on the movies. It's just a look at the Jedi characters, the Force, the lore. They could do some weird alien planet where it's like it takes place in the Star Wars galaxy, but maybe at first you don't know where does it fit in the big scheme of things. Like maybe there's no reference to the Rebellion or the Empire or any of the main themes of Star Wars. It's just it takes place in that universe, because think about it, there's got to be planets out there in the known galaxy that just have no significance in the whole.
But the problem is Disney doesn't want to do none of that, because they want
I know,
nostalgia.
but we're not talking about what Disney would or wouldn't do. It's more just like, how could you reinvent Star Wars in principle, right? And just do something new where people could forget about all the flubs. Because that's what you want them to do, right? Is you don't want them to think about all the same shit they just saw 5-10 years ago, right? You want them to think, oh, this is new, this is different, this is like
I would personally make a Star Wars movie just about droids, and maybe somebody invents a droid with midichlorians that can feel the Force, and he fights against this some kind of evil, some kind of new Sith uprising on some planet somewhere.
So I like your idea, but I'm gonna like dissect it because of its one fatal flaw, which is the midichlorians. And it's not gonna be because I don't like midichlorians. It's because I've actually figured out what midichlorians are. Midichlorians get one of the worst raps in all of Star Wars. Okay, so for a couple of reasons. One is it's a throwaway line in Phantom Menace. They basically never bring it up again. They talk about M count. They talk about a few other things. So, and then the idea that midichlorians somehow like erase the significance of the Force, like people thought George Lucas was retconning his own invention.
No. How
right?
is that midichlorians make you Force sensitive?
No, well, yeah, kind of. So the best way I can explain it, right, is that so a couple concepts. One is that you have to think of the Force as being divided into two parts, right? There's the cosmic Force and the living Force. They don't really say it in the movies, but in the games and the books, they talk about it a lot. So it's kind of like the yin and the yang philosophy just built into the Force. So the idea of like Yoda when he says like the Force permeates the universe, it binds it. that's the cosmic force. It's kind of like this idea that all of space and all of matter and all of time is somehow connected to the force. But then there's the living force, which is kind of the side of the force that's generated by the living beings of the galaxy or the universe, because we don't know if the force exists outside of the galaxy or not. So they kind of have access to the force, but they also generate it, right? Because it's about the life force, no pun intended, of things. And it's that interplay between them. So the midichlorians are the biological mechanism in the cells of beings that allow the living force and the cosmic force to communicate with each other, right? Like, how can your mind or your thoughts cause something to levitate? It's because these little entities, it's kind of like your mitochondrial thing, like, you know how your cells are broken up into different parts and you have organelles and all that shit. That's all it is the midichlorians are just, if you have more of them in your cells, then you have better connection to be able to manipulate things in the real world, basically.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said.
Yeah, it's not that they haven't established, though, that you could just give midichlorians to someone and they would automatically become force sensitive. Like, they might be teasing that with the Mandalorian, where they're trying to get Grogu for his blood and all that stuff, and then is that how Dooku gets, because they teased with the pods and everything that they're growing Dooku or something, or some clones in there, right? And they're going to try to take the force or the midichlorians from Grogu and then give him some other clone, and now he's magically got the force. I mean, I guess theoretically it should work, right? If you can. So I guess you're right. That would make somebody force sensitive. So yeah, I guess you're right in a sense, right?
That's basically my idea for a story. What if somebody made a force sensitive robot, force sensitive droid?
But a robot doesn't have cells, so you can't put midichlorians into it.
We still cybernetics. There's like a Terminator movie. You can make some kind of force sensitive droid.
Maybe.
Sensitive droid.
It'd be like the idea of like taking the nucleus out of your own cells and then trying to figure out, how do I put that into a robot to make it make sense?
Yeah,
like you would have to definitely have some sort of weird cyborg that's like part living, part it couldn't just be like a regular protocol droid or an astromech droid or something like that. It would have to be some new thing. Now,
almost like a Terminator, but it has.
Yeah, I guess maybe, but that's the other thing too, right? Like, would that work in Star Wars? I'm trying to think. I think there is a character that kind of looks human on the outside, but is robot on the inside.
It's kind of look like Data or something. Look like Data or something.
Yeah, like what's she from? I think it's Shadows of the Empire. Is it that Neri character? There's some female droid that literally looks like just a human female, but she turns out, she's an android, and you're just supposed to accept that, she's like Data or a Terminator or something. But you don't ever see that in Star Wars anywhere else. Like that's what I mean. Is like, I like when they bend the rules, but it's really got to work, and it's got to be different from how it's done in other universes. Otherwise, it just makes me think like, this person just took a Terminator or Data and just brought them into Star Wars. They didn't even really think of like, because I like in-universe explanations, right? It's like, what company in Star Wars created that? What faction was behind that? Why? Are there more of them? Is there only one? Is it an experiment? Like,
it's
experiment. You got to really sell me on.
Yeah. I thought it was an experiment. It's experiment.
But otherwise, it's like, Shizor is like the Black Sun crime lord, and he just happens to have a human-looking cyborg, and nobody else does. It's like, doesn't really make sense. But and I don't know a ton about. Maybe I'm forgetting something about the characters.
But anyways, with DC right now, I feel like they're throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks. Because Justice League, the big main tempo didn't work out because they tried to rush everything.
Yeah, I like all the DC stuff that isn't its universe. Like, I like Joker. I like, I guess Suicide Squad's kind of connected, but like, I like all the weird off-side stuff. I don't really like.
I love Shazam. Shazam was amazing.
It was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Slaughter, I wanted to ask you a question. What was that?
Oh, no.
Okay, shoot.
Oh, okay. Manslaughter, did you know on Superhuman Samurais, in Japan, it's actually called just Gridman? Did you know that?
Yeah, I saw that on a YouTube documentary.
Yeah.
What is it called, Fade? Superman?
Superhuman Samurai?
Yeah.
In Japan, it's just called Gridman.
Oh, Gridman. I thought you said it was called Superman. I'm like, how did they get away with that?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a Turkish Superman. That's basically just a rip off of.
Right.
Have you seen Turkish Star Wars though?
Parts of it.
What the hell is Turkish Star Wars?
Turkish Star Wars. They basically had a space scene where they literally had the background of Star Wars playing in the background as the people this guy each actor pretending they were in a spaceship.
Isn't that Meatballs?
There's all these like, third world countries in the 80s that decided, hey, we're going to make our own version of this movie and play it in local theaters. It wasn't meant to ever go on the internet or anything. It was just
I heard
very low
everybody made
budget,
fun of
very,
Turkish
like-
Star Wars though.
You know,
all over
my favorite era of DC, even though I don't know, it's kind of a hot take, but when they did after Dark Knight's Metal, they like launched all these new heroes, and they were basically like their versions of like their
New Age
Marvel
heroes.
ripoffs.
I love that shit.
And then they canceled
I
it.
literally collected every.
Yeah, they
It went
did
a
like
year
their
or
version of Fantastic Four, like the Terrifics was an amazing book. They had
they had
their own
Silencer.
version of Hulk.
Silencer.
Silencer was
then
good.
it had Sideways, and what else? Did that's kind of Mudman, or what was the other one?
There was
Brimstone.
And there was Challengers, new Challengers, Immortal Men, yeah. There's another one too that I'm forgetting. Unexpected.
Wait, I got an idea. One of your books is called Penetrator, right?
Yeah.
The sequel should be called Repenetrator.
No. The sequel is called Seed of the Penetrator.
What's it called? Seed the Penetrator?
Seed of the Penetrator.
Seed of the Penetrator? Oh, okay. So it's like Seed of Chucky. Seed of the Penetrator.
Penetrator 3, come hard.
Yeah, it's a little. I don't know.
You guys brought it up earlier.
Title.
What's it?
That word you guys brought up earlier, Faust.
Yeah.
Does that word mean anything? Because I know there's a CG property with that name in it.
There's originally a play called Dr. Faustus, I think.
Dr. Faustus, and also I believe it's from Dante's Inferno.
No, it's a German play.
Is it German play? Okay.
Yeah, but it's about a guy who sells his soul to the devil, pretty much.
Oh, right.
And
wait, is it
magic bullets?
Because the CG title is called the Faust Scalpel. So I wonder if it does have something to do with the German doctor.
Maybe it could even be like, even the character Faust in the comics has like giant blades on his wrists, kind of like the Predator blades. They're not exactly Wolverine style. They kind of come up and then out. But so yeah, he's definitely known, and he just slices and dices people all the time. So could be a sideways reference to that. But
did Timmy ever tell you what Melvin means?
I don't know if we've gotten into this. No. Like where he got the name from, or the reference?
I can tell you where I got the name from, but that also means something else.
He's gonna hate me though.
It's basically a front wedgie.
Okay. Anyway, what I was saying earlier is that DC's kind of making random movies now since they screwed up Justice League. So but the thing is, I don't think they're going random enough. Like, where's the Question movie? Where's the I heard doing a female Plastic Man movie, which makes no sense.
Yeah, I heard that as a rumor, but I don't know if that's really gone.
That's saying like a violation of common sense. I mean, how do you?
There's a lot of that shit that just gets optioned, or like, there's a story in the press about it, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So
yeah, I hope they don't go anywhere.
I think they like toss those out there to see what kind of reaction they get, and when they realize everyone hates the idea, they're like, "Hey, fuck this," because they've already got like they always have 10 scripts going on at once. Like they'll get 10 writers all doing a spec script on a certain property, and then they can kind of play around with like which idea, what direction do we want to go in. you know, because you got casting people that are fighting over who do we want to cast for this character, right? So depending on what script gets picked depends on which actor and which casting director gets their view, right? Like it's weird how Hollywood works, like because there's so much shit at play, right? It's not all about like the story of the movie, it's about what actor can we cast because they think the actor is going to put butts in seats, even though nobody cares what actor plays anymore, but they still fall into that trap.
Yeah, and you actually violate common sense. Like, it's called Plastic Man for a reason.
Right, but I mean, it makes sense if Plastic Man can shapeshift and like turn himself into a woman.
But why would he?
Theoretically,
But why would
no,
he?
I am just saying, like theoretically, it's within the power set of the character. So if
I
you're
know
gonna
he is in
write
the
it
power
into any
set.
movie, I can see why it's a dumb idea.
There's a
but
dumb idea. No, not only that, but why
But it's
would
not
he?
out of
Plastic Man's
place
not
in a
gender
Plastic Man,
confused. Plastic
especially in
Man's
a
not
world.
Yeah, Plastic Man's not gender confused. He's a man. He views himself as a man. Why does he want to?
No, I know, but I'm just saying it could be for comedic effect. Like, you don't know. All I'm saying is these articles are all about clickbait. They hear a thing like, oh, some female writer's writing a Plastic Man script and it's gonna have him be a woman at some point. Like, I don't think the idea was the Plastic Man character is a woman all throughout the movie. The way I read it was the character shifts into a woman at some point in the movie. And I just thought, okay, that's going to be some comedic scene, or it's going to play into the whole trans thing or whatever. They're going to have some, like, it's almost like a Jim Carrey type of moment or something. Like, I don't really
But the
see it
thing,
as.
but the thing is, if they made a Plastic Man movie back in the 90s, it would have been Jim Carrey. Let's be honest.
But that's what I mean, is they literally even said that in like the moment, the comedy in the script feels like a Jim Carrey movie.
But
So to me, I'm like, I'm not
is.
even worried. Like, I don't even worry about agenda in movies if they're a comedy or they don't take themselves that seriously. I'm like, I could give two shits. I don't even consider it part of the DCU if that's a thing. I don't know. I think like DC, if they're smart, just make a bunch of random movies and do stuff like that shitty Plastic Man script, because that will teach them very quickly what works and what doesn't work. Right? Like, I'm for every concept out there, and if it makes money, great. If people want to see it, great. I don't need to like it for it to exist.
But the thing is, I don't want them to sacrifice these good characters at the altar of that, though.
I know what you mean, but it's like they fucked up so many of the upper echelon characters already. Honestly, I don't really give a shit if they
exactly. So you got to get the smaller ones right. Like imagine they screw up the question.
I'm gonna get going. Or do you want to get going after this? Or... Well, I'll see you guys later.
Okay,
yeah, bye, Fade. We'll stream again soon.
Okay, like imagine if they had imagine if they had made a stupid decision, had a rename Montoya question movie instead of Vic Sage. Like, what?
Hey, Fizz, can I ask you something?
Yes.
All right. So you've told us all these things that you are not enjoying, that you don't like. So tell us something that you do like. Like, what do you like that's out there now?
I liked Happy. I think it's canceled now.
Oh, that image show.
Like the first episode of that.
I watched the two both seasons, also the whole series. I think it's canceled now. Once they bring it back.
Right.
What else?
Yeah, I like that actor.
It's mostly anime I've been watching recently.
Have you ever watched The Promised Neverland?
Yes, the first season. I didn't see the second season yet.
Have you been watching What We Do in the Shadows?
No.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny.
I've seen that on the episodes that show. Yeah. Some episodes.
It's so funny.
I've only seen the movie for that. So.
You need to see the show. It might be possibly better than the movie. I've seen the movie too.
So just as a heads up, you guys, I'm probably going to end it in about 5 minutes. We'll just go for the 2 hours. So
okay,
it's a whole different set of vampires, but the original vampires make guest appearances throughout the series.
Yeah, I saw. Like I said, I saw a couple episodes about what we do in the shadows. I've seen that. I've seen that show before.
Did you see the trial? They had Danny Trejo there as his character from Just Till Dawn. They had
and they had a Blade standing there.
Yeah, Blade. No, Blade was on the TV. Yeah, he was tuning in via television.
I know. That's funny. Like
It's the it's the
like
Daywalker. He's
he's a
only
day,
he's half
mhm.
vampire. Although I'm only listening to half his opinion.
He's a day walker, and he actually hunts vampires. So he's a black guy.
And then like the guy who played Pee Wee Herman was there as his character from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Whoa. Have you guys been on any streams today? I just I got on Michael Bancroft's stream on my phone, and I'm just noticing a new YouTube feature. I've never seen it before, but
Okay.
there is next to the live chat button. There's an icon for scissors, and it's letting you clip parts of his live stream. That's kind of cool.
That might be an app thing on the phone, yeah, because I haven't seen that on the PC, and I know they put a poll feature now in chat too, where you can have a pinned poll.
Yeah,
So if somebody was doing a dance stream and they had a poll, would that be a pole dance?
It could be, yeah.
That means if somebody is saying some bad shit, now you can sit there and clip their live stream, even if they private it. That's awesome.
But does it literally let you save a portion of the video? Is that what it is, or?
I don't know. I clicked it and it said share clip, discard clip, public. So
I mean, is
you like share or something and see if you can just save it on your phone or something, and like try to save like a 5-second clip of something and see where it puts it.
Bob,
Yeah,
I
don't know what that feature is.
Bob, anybody here interested in checking out the Chucky TV show? I ain't seen any.
I'll give it a try. Like I'm all in for most horror stuff. Like I don't go out and watch every single horror thing, but I'll always like sit and watch something horror genre.
It's set after the Cult of Chucky thing. But now they got.
I don't know if I watched the last one. I tried watching that remake of Chucky. Holy shit, was that bad? I only watched it because I like Aubrey Plaza, but beyond that, I thought it was stupid.
This has nothing to do with that. The Cult of Chucky, in that movie, Chucky, it's a sequel to the original movies, but it's set in the original timeline. But
I went
I'll
on
watch it at some point. I got to marathon all those movies again someday.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Tim. If you're gonna break in, say what you're gonna say.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I went on YouTube myself and I didn't see any scissors. So
I was just about to say that it's still on Bancroft's stream, but I click on Nova Blast live stream and there's no scissor icon next to the live chat. So I don't know what's going on. Is it just for Bancroft
membership or something? You know, like he's a bigger channel, right? So he's probably got features that he's unlocked maybe on his channel.
Okay, I got it.
Because I'm not at that subscriber base yet. I'm only like 60.
Say after the Cult of Chucky, in that movie, Chucky managed to clone himself. Basically, he
don't ruin the movie for me, Fizz. Don't ruin the movie. I told you. I'm bugging you. We don't have time. We're gonna end the stream in 2 minutes. So let's get off the Chucky.
Okay, it's not really a twist since it's in the title of the movie. It's in the title of the movie.
Man, stop. Don't ruin it. No spoilers. No.
Okay, the TV show set right after that. So we got a bunch of Chucky's. There's a bunch of Chucky's running around.
I mean, I'm like most stuff where I'll watch the.
Basically, there's a bunch of Chucky's running around every time or something.
Is there a trailer out for it?
Yeah, I think it shows out first a couple episodes out. I think.
Oh, is it okay? I'll probably.
Basically,
that started recently too. That somebody said was good.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
The concept is that there's a Chucky in every town.
I guess so. If they're mass-produced dolls, yeah. Like, what if they all got possessed or they all?
Holy shit! That's really the concept.
Evil.
No, he cloned himself. Basically, he's cloned his soul into a doll.
Well, you know. It's like how many angels can fit on the head of a pin, right? It's like how many ways can you split your soul from Sunday, right? It's like, well, if there's 100,000 other Chucky dolls out there and your soul is in the one Chucky doll, maybe you have a conduit into all those other Chucky dolls. I don't know. It's like it's just lazy writing. Like a lot of those. I'm not saying there isn't a place for lazy writing. It's just now they use it as the main backbone for some of these plots and things, and it's just like think of something a little bit more inventive. But like I said, I'll give it a chance, right?
Yeah, I'll give first episode a shot too, and I'll see if it's I'll mess you back if it's good or not.
Totally, yeah. I mean, I'm like, it's just horror's been. I kind of like the really weird, like over the top stuff now, not so much the nostalgic or the throwback stuff. Although I do like, kind of like the cheesy slasher stuff, or but it's. I don't really put too much worry into whether those are good or bad, because it's like ever since they've been out in the 70s and 80s, it's been hit or miss every other movie anyway, right? So
speaking of horror movie trailers, have you ever seen the trailer for the latest A24 movie called Lamb?
yeah,
24. You mean like the TV show?
no,
24?
A24 is a studio that does they're like a production company, and they do a lot of like lower budget but avant-garde stuff that does pretty well and actually is pretty high quality. But it's like a weird fucked up, like, again, I don't want to say M. Night Shyamalan, but it's more like, what's that other guy that did like is it Astor? What's his name? Oh, it's gonna bug me. He does all like those why can't I even think of the names of the movies he does? But anyway, yeah, it's just that Lamb trailer, I couldn't figure it out. And I don't think you're supposed to. I think you're supposed to like go into it thinking this movie is going to be super fucked up. And
I think the Lamb was a demon or something. That's what I assume it is.
Yeah, but then you see it like walking like a boy or whatever, and it's like they're playing with some kind of abstract concepts in the movie. It seems like it's almost like a dream world. Like just the world itself doesn't make sense, but
turns out
like
eating
in
lamb
Witches,
chop.
that one movie, The Witch.
Turns out it's just for a lamb chop movie.
Exactly.
It's called Lamb. Yeah.
Yeah, look up the trailer, guys, if you want. Lamb, Lamb. It came out a couple weeks ago. So yeah, I'm just pulling up Devil from Talon Flats, guys. I know it's like only 2 days left in the first 30. And he's only 29% through, but if you guys were thinking about backing this, please do. He's going to keep it going. He's going for another 30 days. I know it seems a little daunting, but I think if we keep getting this project out there, he should be able to hit his goal in another 30 days. We're going to try at least, see what happens. So
yeah, I'm going to relaunch my book soon. And I'm going to use the variant cover gimmick of keep adding variant covers every time I reach a money threshold.
Don't do that. I would say don't do that. I mean, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I would say do a variant cover, but don't do a whole bunch of covers, because I've just been hearing tons of people complaining lately about doing too many covers for their projects when they're starting out. I think when you're starting out, you want to keep it to the basics, because you don't want to overcomplicate things for like. It's kind of like people don't know whether they can trust you already as it is. But if you got 20 things there you're offering, then it's just another notch where they're like, oh, I don't know if this person can fulfill on all this stuff.
No, easier than a trading card.
Do a main cover and then do an alt cover that is like, that is maybe not better than the main cover, but you know what I mean, has more punch, or do it as a virgin or something like that. Do something different about it. To where people will either want to get both, or they're just going to pick one or the other, but they're not going to have like that whole like hesitation of like, which one should I get? Because even with Richard's campaign here, right?
I'm only launched with two covers, and then more gets added as the money thresholds.
I get it. Like I'm not saying don't do it. I just think there's better ways. Because, okay, now are you going to ask, are those other covers that people have a chance to purchase, or are these freebies that get thrown in?
No, people have to purchase them. And then.
So now you're hoping that after you've hit a goal, so you've already sold a bunch of stuff, and then you're going to add more covers, and then you're hoping more either new people are going to come in and buy those, or people are going to go back and purchase new covers for books they already bought beforehand.
No,
the buy-in is a lot harder. But if you just do something extra, like here's like for this, well, yeah, I don't know if I do too many covers. I wouldn't go over 3 covers on a first book on a character nobody knows about. Nobody's worried about covers. The whole idea of multiple covers is you're either invested, like you like all the artists, and you really want
that's the thing.
The
artists. I just want these. I'm just hiring famous artists to draw covers. Famous within CG.
Yeah, I would say like the limit would be 3, probably is the most you could get away with, because theoretically, if your book's 10 or $20 and you want somebody to buy all 3, right, it's going to be what, 60, $80, right? Like depending on what your price per copy is. I don't know. I don't. I eventually, if you can build the popularity up, eventually it'd be nice to be able to do 3, 5 covers. But I think just 1 or 2 to start out with is more than enough. It's all the other stuff. People like the cards. They like stickers. They like
Yeah, and
patches. They
cards
like
too.
mini
I had
prints.
cards too. And then there are cards too.
I would focus on that stuff. That's my plan. Is I'm going to focus on other little gimmicks and things that nobody else is really either doing or isn't being done that much, or do a different spin on something. But everybody's doing like alt covers, and it's like me as a backer is like, I feel bad when I can't get everything. You know what I mean? That's being offered, because I am a collector at heart. I'm a completist at heart. So it's like, and especially if it's a creator that I really like or I really want to support them. Like I'm pissed because Richard's got this cool, get yourself drawn into the book for like $250, and I'm like, I don't even know if I can swing that. Like this is totally a campaign. I normally
you could be
wouldn't do
drawing
this.
my book for $18.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's smart, right? Like that's.
I mean, nobody backed it the first time, so nobody
Hey, that
wants
doesn't
to
mean it's
support
not a good
me.
idea. That just means you didn't get it in front of the right pair of eyeballs at the right time.
Yeah.
It's all about
Yeah,
right place, right
nobody
time.
wants to support me as a person, because I'm not very likable,
People want
person.
to support you. You just have to give them a reason to support you, right? Like
Mhm.
you don't know out there think of all the random people that get backing on campaigns, and it's like nobody knows who the hell they are or what they've done or any of that shit. It's just for whatever reason, some random thing happened where a person went, you know what, I'll open up my wallet and I'll give this person a chance and I'll throw 25 or $50 their way. And sometimes they don't even know if they're going to get the shit, but they just figure it's worth the roll of the dice, right? You got to try to build those opportunities, right? You don't want to be too critical of your own campaign, like, oh well, nobody's going to want to buy this anyway, and well, but you're going to sell them a bunch of covers, Fizz. Like, so think about it, right?
They only buying them for the cover. That's the thing.
But I was gonna say, like, for a certain artist or creator, it might make sense because you're thinking of it like as a speculator. You're like, I've got 3 different covers of this book. This book's gonna be hot. Even the regular cover is gonna sell for like $75 on eBay after. So what, you don't think a 24-hour cover is gonna do well? Like I grabbed that when Ethan did the Wrecked Planet. You remember how he had that preview book?
No, I don't, because I wasn't. I don't think I'm more recent to CG.
No, hear me out. So he had the Wrecked Planet preview book, which was a $25 book or whatever, and it just, I think it has a foil cover or something, right? And that's the main selling point. But the point is, you get what, 12 or 10 pages of Wrecked Planet and then a bunch of art, and it's just a random, kind of like a preview book, right? So to me, I'm not going to spend $25 on that. But when EVS says, hey, I just got 150 proof copies, because I think he ordered 200 proof copies of that Ashcan, of that Wrecked Planet preview book, and then he put 150 up on his eBay for $35 each, and it doesn't have a foil cover. It's just a regular cover, but it still has that J. Lee cover. I fucking snapped that shit up in like 2 minutes flat. And you know what? It sold out in 4 minutes flat. He sold 150 copies of a proof book. So basically just his box of books from the printer to prove like everything printed okay, right? That fucking book is going for like $500-$600 on eBay now.
Okay.
So I was willing to pay $10 more for a book that I wasn't going to buy for $25 that doesn't have a foil cover, but it's only 150, or I guess technically 200 copies exist, but only 150 were sold. It was $10 more. That is the investment. That's where like this is a pointless book. Yeah, I collect Cyberfrog, but like I literally only bought it to be able to like resell that book someday, knowing it's going to be one of the rarest CG books out there.
Actually, my book's gonna be pretty rare too. But the thing is,
but if some other new creator has a book and he only prints 18 copies because he only gets 18 backers, it's like, does that mean it's ever going to be worth money? Like, who knows?
No. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. There's a bunch of, like I said, big famous artists drawing the covers. That's the thing. So,
and do you have like commitments yet, or are you hoping to get these people?
No. Well, I got one, Renzo Rodriguez. Well, he's
Renzo,
famous
right,
in CG.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's drawing the cover right now. And then we'll have more people. I got him on the list on my computer.
Also, you don't want to piss off, like, I know it's like work for hire, but you don't want to piss off your other cover artists and be like, oh, and I've got like 6 other artists doing covers too. And then they feel like, oh, well,
no, it's one
my
after the
cover's
other.
not that
No, it's
special.
one after the other. Especially since they don't have the money to do it up front. So after hit a milestone.
Okay.
So
yeah, I think if you're working it into the financials and you're like, as long as I'm making enough money to keep going, I can keep doing this. But focus on the story, focus on like getting the character out there. Like,
yeah,
that's what I would do.
I tried that, but it didn't work. So
no, it's not that don't do it anymore because it didn't work before. It's like you got to keep doing it until it does work. So start taking the Goofanoid character and putting him in a bunch of like art, like post him every day on Twitter, like even if it's the same random thing, or make some wallpapers or something. Like, we can talk at some point, but that's what I mean, is that's what I want to do also as a creator, is like help other creators do some of the promotion, do some of the like, not just promoting like, oh, hey, buy this book, here's the campaign, but actually making like, fan art, wallpapers, things like that, and just getting it out there, because you have to build up. Even if people aren't interested at first, they're going to recognize these characters once they see them popping up over and over again, right? And then that's going to send people over to
the
your
thing with
sign-up
me
page
is I have to learn how to upload from to Instagram from my computer. That's the big trick.
That's something I've been looking into lately too.
Yeah, I'm gonna head out, guys.
This evening. Thanks, Ethan.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to head out too. So
No worries, guys. Hey, you know what? Let's just end it here because we've all had like a long stream here. But,
I guess that's the end of the stream.
I would like to let you guys know though that right now EVS is still streaming and he has opened up his chat, so I'm gonna try to get in there.
Okay.
Did he post it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll put the link right here in the private chat.
Put the link in because I'll try and jump in too, man.
Hell yeah, Cloud Demons unite.
Cloud Demons unite.
All right,
so you were saying something about if you only sell 18 books.
I'm not saying it can't be worth money someday if the character.
No, well, I mean,
popular, right?
Like, let's
but
say
I'm just saying, like, nobody's gonna go and see a first-time campaign and go, "Oh, he's only got 20 backers. I'm gonna back this just because the book's gonna be rare." It maybe happens every now and then, but like, it's like those big guys can risk selling 50 copies of a cover because it is going to be worth something because it's rare and they're like they're established, right? But going through the trouble of like, okay, I'm going to print 20 covers of this and 15 of that and 30 of that, it's almost more trouble than it's worth for you, right? Because you're just diluting the water and then people don't know. I think it just makes sense. Have one cover that people, it's like the old issue number ones of the day. It's like that cover became iconic and that was the only thing that was before variants. Now with comics, I hate it. It's like I see a cover and I don't even know, is that the one I recognize, or do I know the variant better? Or
I was talking about the number. Like let's say you only have 18 backers, and you give all 18 of those people their comics. I think that would, even if you didn't make a lot of money.
No, that's good. You're right. I'm not even taking anything away from the smaller creators, because that's the thing, is like, if you eventually get good customer backing, like in the sense that people get interested in your character, all your campaigns build, then yeah, those 20 books you sold at the beginning are going to be like, it's going to be epic that hey man, I got in at the ground floor, like that's awesome.
Well, I mean, like,
let's say you do a campaign. More. Like, if I see a smaller guy and I'm like, this guy's going places, I'm going to back him because I want to be one of those people that got on the ground floor. Okay. We're going to end the conversation there. We went for 2 hours, 15 minutes. Okay. What I want to do is, I know this is a Friday night and we would do Richard's channel. So I do plan on like doing regular streams again. So I'm going to invite all you guys back again soon. Okay. So I want to thank Dario for coming on the stream. Tim, you're always welcome. Fizz looks like he jumped out. Thanks to him. And of course to Fade and J Money and some of the other guys that came in. I think that's everybody, right? But yeah, let's all like hang out again soon. If not next Friday, then we'll try to figure something out midweek or on the weekend. And I know Dario, you've got sometimes you like to stream on the weekends too, right?
Yeah, I got to work 12 days and then I get 2 days off. So it's,
okay. Well, anyway, you guys can keep an eye out for Dario's channel. Sorry I didn't bring it up here for you. Is it just Glacier Mountain Comics on YouTube?
Yep.
Cool.
Manslaughter.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming in, and I'm going to just do a little outro here, and we can...
Yeah, I keep my pants strong.
Order now and get the beautiful set of stainless steel steak knives and the miracle paring knives absolutely free.
This one's for all my beautiful women around the world. All my Holly Berrys to Roger B. Henson's and Monique's and Jennifer Hudson's and Whoopi Goldberg's. This one's for y'all. I've been watching you from afar. You're